Alfie Amarillo has followed 2 days ago. What's up? Alright, Astrobate. It's such a good quote that we're going to make it today's stream title. Mikhail Botvinnik. This is the fundamental belief in chess that I have, essentially, if you can accurately analyze positions, that's what chess mastery is, If you analyze positions, you can understand what's going on, then you can be a master. You have to truly understand positions. It's not enough to be able to calculate. Truly understand. We want to truly understand what the heck is going on here. So this is our analysis stream, in case you didn't guess. Alright, Thursday analysis stream. Not a bad day to be with us. I've been asked by one of our viewers, one of our subscribers. Subscribers are welcome to submit games for analysis. I've been asked by one of our Twitch subscribers to start his game first, Mr. Nefedov. And Nefedov, without further ado, we'll take a look at this first. He may or may not be here. He's always late. But in any case, I'm going to fulfill my request. We're taking requests from subscribers. No, this is Steven. I thought I didn't have my glasses on, and when he first submitted the game, I thought it was Steven Poor. But it's Stephen Pryor. Let's just say poor Stephen. Stephen Pryor against Pavel Nefedov. Pavel Nefedov, 1798. Now, these are likely B or ECF ratings, so I don't know. No idea how accurate the new or semi-new, newish ECF ratings are. But I think Nefedov is definitely not. He's definitely not overrated. Sent you some game. Wait your turn. You wait your turn there. You stay in. Wait your turn. We're analyzing Nefedov's game now. You're last. Alright. No, I got it. Alright, we got it. We got it. Schumacher demanding. Understand. So Nefedov is black. It's e4, e5, knight f3. Damn. It's a problem being Nefedov. It's like being John Malkovich. Nefedov plays in league games in UK, but I would think like it would kind of become common knowledge if your only defense to e4, your only defense in the Spanish is the Schliemann. People are going to start like preparing really heavily. You got to be careful, man. I mean, you don't want to be too predictable. So I think Nefedov needs to consider that. Still, he knows what he's doing and he knows his stuff. Knight c6, bishop b5, f5, and now the opponent played the trendy move d3, and then here we have two main moves, but it looks like f takes e4 is way more the only like really accepted line. So we won't spend too much time on this. This is established theory. F takes e4, d takes e4. I've tried playing this with white, and I have to say, like, I still haven't really gotten the hang of it. It's not that easy to handle with white. It's funny, when I first saw d3 20 years ago, because it wasn't popular back then, I really thought it was just, if this is white's best move against the... honestly, if like d3 is white's best move against the Schliemann, then we're all done for. That's the best we can do against f5. But it's not clear that there's anything better. The Schliemann is not refuted. So d3's, and it's also a little more poisonous than it looks. F takes e4, d takes e4, and now here we have pretty much only knight f6. We got a bling. Mr. Slow has donated $55.55. Wow. 2 minutes ago. 55, 55. 5, 5, 5, 5. 5. 5 times 4. No, 5 times 4 is 20. This is 55, 55. What a generous donation. I wonder if there's a meaning behind that. 5, 5, 5, 5. Quad fives. What's the meaning behind 5, 5, 5, 5? But in any case, a massively generous donation to our new streaming goal of desktop computer or desktop machine. I didn't specify what kind of machine. Did I? But Mr. Slow, 5555. Thank you. Very generous. We're getting 5% of the way there already. We are 5.7% of the way there. 5555. Alright, knight f6, and now castles is the main move. Can never go wrong with castles. You don't know the non-spiracy? The non-spiracy. And now, this is truly the cutoff, where black has two primary lines. You try to get the bishop outside the pawn chain, or not. So bishop c5 involves, well, not defending e5, at least for the moment. But again, Nefedov is going to have to be completely aware that his opponents are probably preparing for him. Especially if you got an opponent who's like over 2,000. So, d6, I believe that Nefedov has played both against me. Let me see here. Nefedov, most of my games are against Nefedov. He has played d6. He's played both. Most of my games are against him. Not too many people play, Schliemann. So bishop c5, and now bishop takes c6 as a main line. Well, we got another. Fox and Socks. I can't pronounce it, but it's probably not good. The Silent Gambit has swallowed, though, on the plus side. So, white can try to grab that pawn on e5. I know this is a critical line. Takes, knight takes e5. Nefedov. Have to know what we're doing here. This is a pawn sacrifice. This is a pawn sacrifice. Black apparently is okay. But, okay, white plays queen d3 anyway, the kind of trendy move. Not trendy. Well, actually, the Schliemann, nobody plays the Schliemann too much. It was popular like 10 years ago. 15 years ago. It's a hard opening to play. Alright, queen d3, d6, and now queen c4. So, I mean, this dude is, like, totally prepared playing the main line. But what's interesting is, for me at least, like, you're not seeing any games here. There's no games. If people stop playing the Schliemann, the question is why, and I don't have an answer for that. Secondly, it's just possible that everyone's playing the Italian game instead of the Spanish, which is more popular nowadays. But this reeks of preparation for white. Bishop c5 seems more to the point than d6, more to the point. Why play f5? I mean, obviously, like, bishop c5 is better if you can get it. But I guess the point is that pawn sack. I agree, Mr. Slow. You smoke him if you got him, but the question comes down to, really, I guess, evaluating this pawn sack. If this pawn sack is good enough for black, then bishop c5 is okay. If it's not good enough, then you have to settle for d6. But I think we should note, at least, that it should be noted that d6 is playable, and it's not like horrible for black. Black scores alright, or has scored okay here. It's not the end of the world, but obviously we would prefer to get the bishop outside. Anyway, Nefedov knows all this, so I'm not... Yeah, quit playing f5. Play like a man. Okay, now queen c4, queen e7, knight c3, and now Nefedov here, going off the main path with the move a6. We're definitely still in Nefedov's preparation, and probably his opponents as well. Now, I don't know that I have ever gotten this far. No. I always seem to like get confused when I'm white and not remember the theory. But, so the main move is bishop d7. Looks familiar. The idea, to break the pin so you can take on d5 and not get, losing a piece with getting your knight pinned to your king. You can't castle. So if you play bishop d7, knight d5, the point is, knight d5, pawn d5, and now this pin is broken. And I remember looking at this somewhere recently. Bishop takes d7. It's kind of strange that I don't have any games there, because the position is rather familiar to me. Queen takes, knight takes d4. Oh, there's also this. Knight takes e5. Notice Rajabov, the guy who played it a lot, circa 2000. Thanks, Mr. Coffee. Circa 2006, 2008. This is some kind of very critical line, but it's not forced. So Nefedov is avoiding that. Let's say he's avoiding that theory, but this a6 has a very bad score. This is concerning. Black's score here, and we should also mention queen f7. Good old Mladen Zelic, the guy who plays the Smith Gambit every game, lost to Stevic, who's like Croatian GM. So what's up with queen f7? Wow, what a neat shot, man. Oh, knight takes e5. Oh, can you do that? Whoops. Is that important? Did I need that pawn for something? Well, that's something good. Looks like Nefedov may not have made it after all. So queen f7 loses. So a6 is the only other move. And here's the question. Okay, I'm not liking the look of the names of the opponents who played black here. You got a Igor Gazik game, that's the dad, who's like old, who I beat in some tournament like 7 years ago. Not the younger son, who's like a GM. And you've got, who else? Jonathan Karsted won a game with black in 2017, and that's it. All the rest are no names. This is not a good sign. But maybe Nefedov knows more than 2 Yandamirov games with white. They're very old. Look at that. Yandamirov was playing this back before it was popular. So Gerd Euler is known. He lost against Palats, who's a strong, probably Croatian who's lived in Austria forever, as far as I knew. Like very strong opponent. Oh, there's a Dominguez game with white, also from 2002. Well, that's also when I first started seeing d3. Around the early 2000s, a friend of mine started playing it. Fedorchuk, Sergei Kasparov. So you see some strong names with white here, but not so much with black. But not easy to play the black side. So basically, nobody good has played this for black except for Jonathan Karsted and Gazik Daddy. So what's the problem? Take. Simply bishop e3. Damn, dude. Oh, and Nefedov offered a draw here, like he does against me. He offers draws to incite, like, seething anger from his opponents. the dude is still in book, following, Dominguez and Palat's games and Yandemirov. What good can possibly come from offering a draw here to a higher rated player from a position where black has a bad score? Nefedov is just trying to increase the chances his opponent wants to kill him for some reason. Bishop e3 and then knight d7, I would expect. But black has lost every single game in this position. That's impressive. Knight d7 means that, bishop takes e3 won't be met with check. But on knight d7, take b4, bishop e6. How has black lost every single game here? Is it really that bad? Bishop e6 breaks the pin, but then queen a4, right? My God. I can't believe Nefedov got caught with his pants down. I thought you had some surprise, Nefedov. But what are you going to do after queen a4? Nefedov, so are we going to just reach the conclusion that you really just shouldn't play a6 and you should know better and you should play bishop d7 and you forgot your own analysis? Nefedov's going to be like, no, I played this because I wanted to avoid his... Nefedov's going to be like, I played a6 to avoid his theory. So he's going to say he played a6 knowing it wasn't the best move to avoid, the expected move from his opponent. But the problem is it looks like black is losing material by force after bishop e3, and your opponent swallowed like a chessable course. So what's the best move here? My instinct is to play knight d7. And that's what Euler played and Yandemir's opponents. So there's knight a4, bishop takes e3, in between move. I like your pawn structure. What's left of it? How about rook a7? Bishop takes f2 seems kind of greedy, but how bad is this? Yeah, rook a7 is the best move. Just for future reference, rook a7, f takes e3 castles, and black is alive for what it's worth. I think that's worth considering. On the other hand, white can play the other move. Bishop takes c5, now knight takes c5, and now knight a4. Now I'm curious how this works. It must be something with queen b4? Queen c3, staying on this. So we're going to be basically in the same kind of spot where we sacrifice the pawn on c6. Knight d7, queen takes c6. And now the question is, see, one thing I have to say, I don't like this. What do we have here? We have a nice pawn structure that glues together. Black castled. What about our good friend rook a7? Our old friend rook a7. Let's see the evaluation here. Wow. So rook a7 isn't as good. Castles is better. But the problem is, when you go to the opening score and you look up games like this, and you see, oh well, Palat and Yandemirov won. The problem is they're stronger than their opponents. And so you have to ask yourself, did they win because the position is good? Or did they win because they're grandmasters and their opponents are like FMs? So you have to play through the whole game to see for sure. But it looks like black has some compensation for the pawn, but objectively maybe not quite enough. If the players here were black were grandmasters too, I think the black result would be half a point or maybe 50-50. But you've got stronger players plus a slight advantage for white, and they won both games. Not surprising. So is this variation absolutely unplayable for black? Maybe not. But maybe I trust this better than what happened in the game. Let us see. Computer doesn't like castles. So you're supposed to play bishop takes e3. So what's the point? You can put your king on f7? So this is maybe what Nefedov... Maybe Nefedov didn't consider this possibility enough. It looks really horrible. But there's no knight g5, so he has to take. And now you can guard with h6, but I mean, this also doesn't look appealing. This actually looks pretty bad. It's not great. White's advantage is quite significant. But it looks like if black could play queen d7, he sort of can just barely hang on. Just barely hanging on. But I think Nefedov, I would go with other line, honestly. If you insist on playing this, I think you're better off playing knight d7. It looks like it's a little bit better than bishop e6. But still. Now you castled. Okay, this is insane. This is insane. This is insane. This is insane. Nefedov is insane. Castling queenside. Oh my god. Castling queenside. I mean, allowing tripled pawns, whatever. Same thing. Bishop takes c5. I don't know where that came from. Queenside equals 0, 0, 0, and these are 0, 0, 0. Tripled pawns. Knight takes e5. I mean, seriously, if you're white here, I don't know. I might want to be interested in the pawn on c6. Yeah, castling kingside. Right. That's what I meant. I got kind of flustered by the doubled pawns. This is crazy what you did. This is crazy. I mean, I can't believe you did this. Basically, you did this out of desperation because you thought you didn't have another option. But I mean, you should have seen this. This is possible, obviously. Check, check, king f7. This isn't so bad. I even considered king g6. But then white has knight h4 check, and then obviously here Nefedov gets his desired result. No, just kidding. King g6, knight h4 check, king h6. This looks a little dangerous. You're better off just playing h6. I'm just kidding, but there's also knight h4. Apparently knight h4 isn't as good. The moral of the story is if black survives to an extent here, I mean, these pawns aren't so great. In an endgame, Nefedov now, I mean, I think this is your point, you know, you have that great pawn structure where you have the beautiful chain where all three pawns are on dark squares with your light squared bishop. Where do I bite first? Into the bretzel. Exactly. But this is a tough bretzel here. You have two strong bretzels now. But in the way that Nefedov played it, he like burned his bridges down completely. You know, there is no bretzel anymore. This bretzel is like in crumbs. This is Nefedov's game. It's just crumbs. Look at that. But Nefedov has momentarily, for while his pawns remain on the board, he has good control of the center. But this is a disaster, you know, structurally. Now white took on e5, but I don't know. You know, this is more of like a tempting move. If black could play queen e6 and assure himself of correction of the pawn structure, I imagine that black position might be maintainable, you know. But the pawn structure is like a losing structure. Irish pawns. Your opponent, yeah, Nefedov's not Irish. But okay, what's wrong with knight takes e5? Seriously, this is a nightmare. We're waiting for bishop takes a2. That doesn't work. I would be on the verge of resigning here. I would be so disgusted with my position. I want to resign. Don't tell me this is home prep. Your opponent's 200 points higher, plus they have this queen e6, and then f4. So obviously f4 is not forced. Knight c4, queen d4. White doesn't have a lot of moves here. There's some ideas here. If knight f3, knight g4, I suppose, with the idea of rook takes f3, rook d1, queen f4, the shelf, elf on a shelf. I mean, double, triple pawns don't matter if we can play for mate or something. And then, of course, there's the classical knight d3, which is very happening. It's happening very often in these lines with knight on e5. But boom, what are we going to do here? Shock and awe, right? Knight d3 could have other problems, but it is threatening e5. There's possible complications, but it still doesn't look good for black. So I think he's spoiled for choice. But f4, obviously, kind of committal. So I'm curious to see what the engine says. It is the best move. But by the way, how about knight d3? Knight d3 is good too. It's lower risk. The interesting thing is the engine also likes this knight c4. That's possibly even lower risk. You could play like knight b6 or something. Still, the queen is hard to get off of d4. I know Nefedov has to go soon, so we don't want to take all day here. But check, takes, and now the mother of all kingside majorities. Well, we've upgraded our pawn structure now. Did white make a boo-boo? Should he write this off? Because if he plays knight a4, knight takes e4. There's also this. But it's a major moment for white. He has to consider which way to go. I mean, there's even knight d1 or knight b1, but I assume this is the right move. And now c5. All those in favor of attacking the black pawn chain say aye. The whole game is revolved around the pawn chain. So white has c3, b4, and the guy just plays knight g3. Why taking on d4? I don't understand. The computer liked it, so I just assumed it was forced. Your other options include rook f2 and king h1, and Mr. Slow is right. I mean, okay, rook f2 sucks. Then I can probably take on e4, take on a4 and take on e4. So king h1. Well, I'm not sure. There's rook b8, queen a4, knight e4. I don't know if this is better, Mr. Slow. I'm not sure this is necessarily better. I'll take on a4 and then I'll take on e4. You can do what you want. Maybe knight takes c6 or rook e1. But your king is also like kicked out from the center. This looks good though. Computer, no, you're right. The computer prefers king h1. Yeah, I was wrong. The computer did not prefer this. It prefers to not take on d4 and play king h1. Well, he decided to play like a human being. Okay, so king h1. I assume he didn't like this. And this anyway. Now rook e1. And then we're going to lose some c-pawns. It looks like there's nothing clear for black. Knight d2 doesn't really do anything. Rook f2. this is just a matter of time till things start falling. But white probably turned out to be a human player, and he played queen takes e4. Okay, so he figured. Well, I mean, honestly, I don't blame him. Like, he thought he could counterplay. Maybe this isn't bad. It's not that bad, you know. If he can get that pawn, he's in good shape. But Nefedov hangs on to the pawn. And now the question is, could white have played like c3 or something? b4 looks dangerous. b4, I think we gotta like admit that looks very dangerous. That pawn itself could be dangerous. But maybe c3. We can't really like protect our pawn chain, so we probably have to take, and then he takes, and then what? You know, white still looks much better. He's like a clear pawn up. I might have played it like this. Oh, you want to do something crazy like push? We're going to need a computer. Okay, this is heat of battle, though. In heat of battle, white did what people do, which is release the tension. So let's see what the computer thinks now. His move is best, but c3 is up there. I hate knight g3 in general. He played very routine moves, but he's up a clear pawn, and it's also like better than a simple pawn because black's pawns are doubled. Maybe Nefedov should consider c4, and then reject it quickly. How is Nefedov going to survive this? I mean, you're just losing on the king side. I don't know how you survive this. How are you going to survive that 4-pawn onslaught? White plays h3. Very slow move, okay. g6. Rook a d1. Another safe, slow move. a5. I mean, if you give Nefedov all day, he might generate some counterplay. So my impression is that white is conducting this a little slowly. Now knight d3. Now here, I guess Pavel would like to play c4, but he didn't like it for some reason. Maybe knight here, bishop f7, e5 type of stuff, and there could be a fork at d7. The point is, like, he hesitates and defends his pawn. This is really, really bad for black. Never play a6 again. Knight e5. Repeating moves. Then white plays hesitantly. Now a4. White's like too careful. Rook f2. This is a team league though, right? Rook f2 and now black with h5. Nefedov, why not g5? That's your favorite move. I can't believe he didn't play g5. Oh, the rook's defended. Sorry, my bad. I thought you had the old like knight g4 check. Yeah. The rook's defended by the knight on d3. Pavel likes g5 a lot. That's our new joke around here. Okay, anyway, this makes sense. h5 makes sense. You know, attacking the knight on g3 is always a good thing. Now you're getting some counterplay against the guy who's like kind of passive. h4. Knight f1. And now we expected knight h5 since that knight doesn't have anywhere else to go. But white has threats of knight e5. So it turned out that you had to play knight d7. But that's the best move. Well, that's the best move, apparently. You don't have to play knight d7. You defended your g6 pawn. He defended against the fork with king g7. The computer doesn't like it. It's possible this is better. It's a little passive here. And then f5. White until this point had been very hesitant, and now he plays f5. Okay. Maybe he liked this. Maybe he liked this coming in here. G takes f5. Assume nothing. If here, no threats. The rook needs to get through, so he takes. And now the wooden shield. You haven't been watching Hikaru streams, have you? Move repetition looks professional. Well, there was a one move repetition there. Nefedov would have been more than happy for a draw. If this was a simul game, Nefedov definitely would have gotten a draw already. Rook f4. Yeah, Black's still getting tortured, but 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. He's still only one pawn down after all of this crap he's gone through. He's still somehow only one pawn down. And he's actually in the process of trading off one of his isolated pawns on the queen side. He's an options trader. There it goes. We're making progress now. We're one pawn down and we only have one double pawn remaining. This has been a really torturous game. And this is basically the lesson, like Mr. So said. Why play the Schliemann? Nefedov, it's too predictable. These dudes are prepared. But secondly, if you make one mistake, you're in trouble. Of course, that's the case with a lot of sharp openings. Knight e5. It's never easy to beat black in any opening. And now rook a6, which is totally natural. And then, now what does white do? You're threatening this. It's actually nice the way that Nefedov made his bishop and pawns, coordinate. All of his pieces are reasonably placed. The rook on h5 is tying white down to f5. He now got his other rook here, so black's... You could even say that black has some threats. Rook a2, rook g5 in some positions. He's threatening rook g5. Now white's knights are redundant, but it looks like he wanted to stop, not only stop rook g5, but attack the h4 pawn. Could see bishop takes b3, tactics with d3, but we're just short. Knight e4. No, apparently had bishop takes f3. What does that do? What does bishop takes f3 do? Bishop takes f3. This is not an easy move for black to play. That was the computer's suggestion. I mean, you're trading off a redundant knight for a powerful bishop. Why would you do that? He has to take with the rook. But, like, what's the follow-up? This? Maybe? This? Maybe? It's hard to blame Nefedov for not making that move. But I would be tempted to go here. Though it doesn't do anything, I guess. My move doesn't do anything. It's hard to play the best move. Now he's just dropping. Oh, he's just trading. He's trading pawns. So he gets a doubled pawn. Now I expected knight takes c5 here, but that's not so clear because the bishop takes c2. White's still better. It's a very complicated game. So bishop takes f5, knight takes here. I mean, you have a lot of moves, but there's bishop takes h3. You really want to get that c-pawn. The dude should have taken on c5. Instead he took here. What's going to happen? You kind of can't blame him. I can't blame him. It looks reasonable. It kind of looks reasonable for white. You know, he thinks he's getting this. He's a pawn up. Wow. Now, I bet you he didn't expect knight d7. If I'm white here, I'm expecting an aggressive move from black. Rook d2. He's counting on that. He's counting on that. He's counting on rook d2 or knight d5, trying to go to something active. And I think this is what he missed. He missed that Nefedov can take the time. He just takes the time to defend the base of his punching at c5, or whatever it is. I don't know. Whatever it is. It's not the base of the punching. Whatever that is. He defends c5 in a pawn down endgame like that. And if b4, obviously, is still complicated. By the way, does white have knight f5 check? No. He does play b4. And you can't take it, obviously, so rook d2. And now take, and it's heading for a draw. Finally. I mean, white still has 2 connected passed pawns. But your pieces and pawns are very active. And this is probably time pressure, I would assume. So you had rook c3? What are you supposed to play here? I'm not playing rook c3. I'm not giving white the d4 pawn. You should just, like, play a different move. King f6, dominating his knight. Heading to the center, coordinating everything. So king f6, let's say knight f3. Knight e5, trading. So here, for example, black is better. Almost winning. Because your d-pawn is so fast and so close. This could go south for white. That's a tempting move. Oh, Nefedov missed his tactic. Oh, man. Oh, no. You're lucky you didn't lose after that. Wow. You're lucky this didn't blow your position out of the water. Rook takes d4. He can't hang on to the pawn. You still can't take the pawn. Oh my god. Look at this guy with the fork tricks. You're kidding me. Oh no. No. Poor Pavel must have thought he was winning here. Are you winning here? I assume it was winning. This has to be winning. It says draw. Oh my god. It says draw. Are you kidding me? This is only a draw if the dude can eliminate your c-pawn. The first move I would make would be like king e5 maybe. I would be pretty optimistic this is winning for black. I would think this is winning. +2. King e5 is the best move. I don't think that Nefedov was mentally prepared to be winning this game. White offered a draw. That's what you get, Nefedov. You know, for your draw offers. He offered him a draw. You deserve that. Now you play king e5. Oh, he drops the pawn. So he could have played knight e4, and he didn't. I mean, this pawn is still probably going, right? White has some circus act he can do. Rook c1 mate? No. It looks like king f1. This has got to be winning. Man. It's karma punishing Nefedov for that early draw offer, I think. So king e5, h5, rook takes c5, h6. Now you're winning. And this is probably Zeitnot. So here's a question. What would happen if, like, rook c6, rook here? You did rook c6. Okay, it's good. And Blunt? Wow. Now we're winning. Dude, are you serious? There's no way I'm playing king e6 here. Every little bit matters. I think you want to go king d5. This looks like a serious error to me. Like, you may still be winning despite that, but I mean, you want to box his king out. His pawn's not going anywhere. But you want to keep his king away from improving itself, and you're threatening to check him back. King e6, computer doesn't give this a mistake, but it is. That's definitely a mistake. Why the heck would you play that? King e6 is weird. See? Well, now you can check him anyway. Now you played rook c6. Oh my god. This must have been like bad time pressure. Although there's still... Yeah, it looks like something I would do in an online game in my simul or something. Why not go check him? Check king d3. Obviously, you know, there's a fork there. We all see that now. But you can make another move, like here. You should be winning eventually if you're careful. But rook c6, I understand like putting rooks behind pawns, but I'm not sure that applies in like, you know, positions where the opponent has a knight that can blockade the pawn. It still totally looks like something I've done in an online game. You're gonna let him like surround that pawn? No. Wow, it's a draw now. It's looking more and more like my first game with Josh Waitzkin. With something like this. So double question mark. So he should hug the pawn. King d5. Actually, white has to be careful. How's he going to win that pawn? King d5, c4. How is he going to win the pawn? King d5, c4, f6 check. I see. But how is this a draw? This is a draw. Wow. That's kind of instructive. This is ultimately the flaw in FDOS, like blockade, you know, getting rook behind pawn. This is a draw. So what happens if you switch? Switch the knight and king. Can I move that knight somewhere? No. Essentially. Well, I could just do this all day. I don't know, you guys deserve to draw. I thought I was like trying to lose now. Alright. That was painful. But an interesting game though. Really, really ugly at the end. The guy tried his hardest to lose and he almost lost it, but he still didn't lose. Thank you, Move Love, for subscribing. Oh no, you gifted a sub to the Leviathan. The Leviathan, the Kraken. We'll see another fork trick. Thank you, Mr. So, for your donation of 5555. Presto. No, that's trip fives. This is quad fives. Quad fives sounds so familiar. Somewhere I ran into quad fives recently. But anyway, it's not coming to me. Mr. So is next with 5555. And I hope this is the correct game. I think Nefedov has to go to chess club or something now. So Nefedov, I don't know about a6, man. I don't know if you play that intentionally, fine, but you should have been more careful. It looks like a6 is barely playable if you play perfect moves. But black's still, if you get a draw there, you'd be the first player ever to not lose that line. Well, actually, you did. Congratulations, Nefedov, the first player ever to play a6 and not lose. Although you got a lost position. So did your opponent. E4, C5, knight F3, and now G6. D4, C takes D4. Now, I strongly recommend queen takes D4. But, okay, nothing wrong with the old knight takes. And now bishop G7, knight C3, and now knight C6. And it's funny that I just went over a game in this line with Asterbait. Asterbait plays the Accelerated Dragon. And we've got another player, me, and another player, Move 11, who also played the Accelerated Dragon. Someone on SoundCloud here. Should have the whole Accelerated Dragon team. But I like how on lichess there's even a name for this. They call it the exchange variation. Bro. Actually, you have to go back like one more move, probably. I guess normally the move order would be different. Knight takes d4, knight c6, knight takes c6. Yeah, exchange variation. No, I'm sorry, it doesn't have a name. Okay, it's not a good move. But Potzers play it because it's like lazy and easy to play. It's considered lame. I think, we've seen this before. In fact, Nefedov might have even had a game where he played it or something. Am I remembering that right? Somebody had a game with that queen takes d4, with the queen d4. I've had this before. Everybody who plays Accelerated Dragons faces crap. It's bad for white. But what Mr. Slow is showing here is slightly different. You're doing it with your knight already on c3 and black's bishop already on g7. We're going to call this the Potzer variation. Okay, knight takes c6, b takes c, and now Mr. Slow says, I know my opponent will play the Accelerated Dragon. So I prepared this quote-unquote line in advance, inspired by a new book on creative ways to play e4 openings. Facepalm. Alright, I'm being sarcastic. As an Accelerated Dragon player, I've faced this crap so many times. Honestly, the only people that's gonna be surprising for are the ones who are recently taking up the Accelerated Dragon. It's like if you play offhand games with random people, it's extremely common, if not the most common. I see this up to like 2100 level and above when I'm black. In fact, I had a game in a rabbit tournament, like the last rabbit tournament I played 5 years ago, where Perushka Istvan played against me. And I had to like fight like a dog to win with black. He's this mindless player who's like an FM who just plays whatever, and just plays fast. So it suited him perfectly. I had a hard time winning. It's hard for black to win against this stuff, but it shouldn't be really a surprise. It's a well-known Potzer variation, but it's never gotten any respect on a higher level. And maybe that makes it dangerous to some degree, Mr. Slow, and what you're saying. I also think like a stronger player who maybe didn't always play the Accelerated Dragon but switched to it might be more vulnerable here. Anyway, this is super lame. If you go to a d3, it's like very lame. At least with bishop c4, you give yourself some threats against f7. There's some tricks. You're not following any Igor Smirnov box set, sorry. You got your Igor Smirnov box set? One of our other viewers is a hardcore Igor Smirnov. He got his new box set in the mail. His stuff is like far more dubious than my bad ideas. Now black played d6. But here's where we have to start to be careful. Right, there are reversed Englishes. That makes it a Sicilian. Exactly, move 11. Exactly. I was saying the same thing to Astrobate. You know, I had games like this with my 2100 computer. The predecessor to the Mach 3 Master, which was rated like 2160. I think it was 2165, 2170. Used to love to play like this with white. No, but seriously, this is an interesting position. Queen f3 is one of the key ideas. So it's all about making f7 defended, keeping black structure. I told Astrobate this is the point, man. This giant smile. The giant smile. I mean, ultimately, it's about chess is about more than just surface stuff. I mean, I believe in principles, and this isn't really good for white, but it's not. I mean, maybe the point that Van Forest or these other guys are trying to make is that it's not as bad as you think. But I can guarantee it's not great. You know, it's not better than the Smith-Morra Gambit or something like that. Yeah, you can play it. It's offbeat. But I think if black is really smart, he's going to be careful here about his move order. This already is inaccurate, probably. Mr. So, I just went over this game with Astrobate, like an hour before the stream. In Arkiev versus Zhang. I criticized Astrobate for allowing, something even worse. Astrobate played the even more dubious knight f6 here. And after e5, he played knight g8. And I told him, I mean, this is the reverse Mach 3 Master. We had something like that, But Queen c7 is a move that I think the cognoscentes will play. I'm a cognoscente. This is a smart move. And even in Arkiev, who may be an idiot compared to some other grandmasters, Queen c7, interesting here. Abdusuratov, or whatever his name is. Queen f3. Check this out. Another Arkiev game. Knight f6. Bishop f4. I've shown this example before. d6. And now, can you play e5? Oh, it's check. Oh shit, but maybe it's a pawn sack. Can we play it like this? This loses. Yeah, so Ustinov. What's the name of the actor? Peter Ustinov? I think it's a fail. It's a strategic fail for white. But if you're lucky, you can equalize. Alright. But, yeah, wouldn't trust Van Forest. He's into some dubious stuff. So, alright. d6 is inaccurate. And now castles, but you have queen f3. Why not queen f3? I don't know, e6 looks kind of weird to me. I was just showing this to Astrobate. But why not queen f3? e6, seriously? Is that okay? It's plus 0.9, bro. That's not okay. It's a modern defense now. This just transposed to like the modern defense or something like that, I think. Look at that. Black has 2 out of 3, but it's plus 0.9. And the other move the computer considers here, swear to God, we were just analyzing this an hour ago. Bishop e6. If Steinitz were alive, he might play that. But I don't want to play that. They can like sit there. Sorry, it's a good move. No, but seriously, like queen f3, bishop e6, bishop b3, even bishop e3. But this, I don't like this, needless to say. So I think that you could even go more aggressive there, Mr. Slow, with the queen f3. In fact, maybe you kind of have to here. On the queen c7. What happens on queen f3? No, that's the difference. See? Yeah. So you go here, he plays d6, and you don't play queen f3. But I don't understand, why is the computer rejecting this? Oh, you mean the line. This line. But this is Zhang versus Anarkiev. This isn't so good for black. I just showed this to Acerbate. This, I don't know, man. I mean, Anarkiev, like, lost here. I don't like this. Why don't you play queen f3? What's he gonna do? This? e5 takes. Queen takes d6 check. Bishop d7, queen a6. Castles. I don't know. Okay, it's not so easy to play, but you did bust up his structure. This is playable. Bishop e3. So Peng Chiang played castles. That's fine too. And now black played queen b8 and lost. And Acerbate's favorite move, bishop c8, is best. Anyway, you can definitely play that. All right, let's see what happened though. You maybe get something similar. You did e5. Nah, but this is something else. Now we're talking about some endgame. Ah, no. If he plays queen c7, even knight h6 is possible. Bosco played knight h6. I don't like allowing what your opponent allows here, but I get it that it's some kind of topical continuation now. There's a bunch of games. Martin Kraftsiev, Illusionok. By the way, bishop g5 is really stupid looking. It's just a move, okay? e5, this is critical. Takes, you break up his structure. Takes. Yeah. So this is completely reasonable for white. But I mean, I'm not allowing this to happen. I'm playing queen c7. Move 11, did you just rejoin the stream? Because we just talked about that. Like, for a half an hour. Way to stay with us and really be right on it. Yeah, no, I mean, it's a huge important line, and I told you that. Better keep up, move 11. You're just like going back to what we were talking about 15 minutes ago. You need to pay more close attention. Stop falling asleep in the back of class. I was like waking up. Hey, what are we supposed to delay d6 and play queen c7? Stop sleeping in class and stop that work stuff. Enough of the work stuff. Bishop takes a7. Not the plan. We're going to get our bishop trapped on f7. So, this goes back to 1980. It's very new. Cutting edge. It's cutting edge Van Forest. Enrico Paoli from Paoli, Pennsylvania. But Paoli was a strong Italian player. He might even still be alive, I don't know. But now Mr. Slow knows this scientifically. He's in his 12-move preparation. Rook e1. So, and Enrico played bishop takes f7, which is not the point, There, you have to be careful that bishop doesn't get trapped, by the way. It is trapped, Jesus. He got his bishop trapped. Duh. Not the first time I've seen a bishop f7 trapped. So rook e1, we're still in preparation. And then black played the horrifying e6 in all of these games. I'd really rather cut off my pinky finger than play that move. That's so ugly. But already I don't like black's position, you know? Just because it's 0.0 doesn't mean, like, it's an easy position to play. That's, if you're a computer that can calculate 17 moves deep. You understand what I'm saying? Van Forest or whoever can say this is a reasonable line for black, but obviously he intends to play it for white. But I'm just saying, like, this is a hard position for black to play with broken structure. I'd much rather be white, and that's the whole point of what Mr. Slow is playing. But my takeaway is that, yes, move 11 sleeping in the back of class, cognoscentes are not going to allow this to happen, you know? This is stupid to allow e5. And even if objectively black is equal here, it's hard to play. So now you played rook takes e5, following a game from 2016. You know, this pawn sacrifice is very common. I can't remember. There was some guy on my stream who I suspected of being kind of a cheater. He was from like Argentina, and he said that there was some Argentine correspondence, some lesser known maybe not correspondence, but a lesser known Argentine master. You guys remember that? Who had these weird ideas? He wrote a book. There were some very, very similar ideas. I can't remember the name now. It was... Anybody remember what I'm talking about? From like 3 years ago? Maybe 4? But that bishop he's died. He died. It's horrible. So what can black play here? I mean, I would rather play like king, honestly, like king e8. Anything but that, you know? I don't want to play this at all. How about knight d5? That doesn't work. Knight d5, knight d5, pawn d5, bishop d5, rook b8. And then, can I do this? It doesn't look good. It's not good. The king is too exposed. But anyway, Mr. Slow's point is well taken. It was a practical line. He got his opponent into the kind of the trap. Everything went so far as planned. Okay, so Mr. Slow pointed out bishop f5 is the best. Still, this is poisonous, presumably, and then black can get his bishop outside the pawn chain. What do? You develop, or you sack your... You defend c2, or you just like give it up, or what? Bishop f5. I'm not playing f3. I guess you know it's a trap. f3 h5. Bishop g5 with pressure. Compensation for pawn. Now why is the f7 pawn? It's still not trapped. No, it is. Bishop takes f7. Oh my god. Ooh, that's horrible. That looks awful. Look at black structure. Here, 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 here. Nice pawn structure. And it's equal. Yeah, well, either way, I could make the board a little bigger, maybe. That's a better solution than moving it to the right. But then I can't see the names. Maybe I can do a combo. I think you're a little anal retentive, but it's alright. We'll let it slide. The important thing is you're focusing on the important stuff. Anything with my audio, or... You want to point out while distracting us? Any complaints about the audio? Anyone? Just wait till we're in the heat of analysis. And by the way, slide the board a little over. Then it looks not straight, but alright. You're messing with my focus here. That's unbelievable. And black's Black's slightly better after bishop f6. Yeah, because you fix the structure. That's kind of sick, actually. If I take, you fix the structure, and if I don't take, my bishop gets trapped. So if I go back here, now your bishop is getting trapped. Oh. Well, I mean, unsurprisingly, there are things that happen when you put your bishop on f7. You know, that's the moral of the story. Maybe it's not best to play f3. I'm not a huge fan. Rook takes e5. This is what you said. Yeah. I'm not playing f3. Yeah. Anyway, a carefully planned coffee house line by Mr. Slow. Rook e1, e6. Here, knight d5. This is logical. And if it wasn't for the fact that black didn't have a bishop on c8, his position probably wouldn't be that bad. So there are technical problems with black's position, but it would take a very strong player to exploit them. Yeah. White's advantage is 0.1 pawns after rook e2. And this player, who's 2381, opted not to take on c3 because ultimately, you know, the knight on d5 is extremely strong now. The problem is it can be outed eventually when we move the knight and we move our bishop. You know, down the line, 6 moves from now, I could theoretically play c4, kick your knight off of d5. It's not easy to do that, though. So, black played king c7 in the stem game. So knight takes c3 is bad on all lines. Well, I'm not doing it to grab a pawn for sure. I mean, what's the upside of knight takes c3? It activates your pieces. I mean, it's hard to see really an upside, you know. So he smashed your pawns and then didn't take the pawn. Probably like now realizing that, oh shit, you know, I'm just opening lines for my opponent. But you've got to deal with bishop a3, bishop f4, possibly bishop g5 check. Your king is in the middle of the board. So that, I mean, knight takes c3 deserves like a question mark. Yeah, a5. That takes half an hour, but it is a good plan. ICTs. But in the meantime, your king is like totally exposed in the middle of the board. Yeah, of course this is a plan. Yeah, it's a normal plan. I'm not saying I like white's line. It's just a thing. But maybe knight somewhere. Let's say knight a4. And if you try to do bishop a6, I take, you take, and I have this square. I have stuff like a3 and c4. White is much better, presumably. Computer wants to play c4 right away. Okay, it's playable. It's playable for black. It might be one of black's better plans. I kind of like what the guy did, though, you know, putting the king on c7. It seems like a reasonable move. Black doesn't have any ideal moves. Takes here, rook b8, bishop f4, and don't like black's position. Yeah, bishop g5. Maybe not the only, though. I mean, you could even try to grab his pawn on a7. It looks like this deserves consideration as well. I guess black can play rook b7 and try to hang on to the pawn. But you're like piling up, man. It doesn't look easy. So pretty much all the squares seem like options, even A3. He went there anyway. Honestly, you know, I don't really want to trade pieces here, but even just the A pawn for the C pawn would be good for you, because you'd have an outside A pawn. That's a major problem for black. Now his rook is cut off. So he has no bishop and he has no rook. I feel like I've seen this game already. F6. Maybe I played through it when you sent it to me. It looks kind of familiar. Oof. So now bishop e7. It feels kind of familiar. Black's totally lost now. I mean, this is a crushing pass pawn. But more importantly, his king is dead. You're like mating him, basically. I mean, I would think that he's nearly mated. Wouldn't be surprised. You can force him out. You can force him out to e5 with bishop e7 check. But it's still not, maybe not that easy. The f7 pawn is useful. One pawn up, but black can't coordinate. Can't move his bishop. He can't get his rook in the game. Yeah, it's a disaster, in short. I mean, tempting to trade rooks here. You should be winning with the rooks off. All you need is that one outside pawn, and the fact that other pawns are on the board. I mean, you're better enough to be winning here. It's funny though, you've been very conservative with moving your A pawn. You haven't moved your A pawn yet. Doesn't like moving his A pawn. He's very A pawn conservative. Don't want to overextend your A pawn. There it is. Oh man, that was a huge risk that you took there with 46 A4. Very cautious play by Mr. Slow. But, you know, no need to take any risks here. And that's the second pawn. Going to be a second pawn. He has to play bishop B somewhere. Can't afford to lose the second pawn. Are we definitely winning? Kind of a weird situation now. King d2. Stay in the zone. I hope we're winning. I don't like having to like wait for this pawn over here. So the point is like black can't do anything active. Oh no. Okay. And how do we win? How do we win this position? We go after his other pawn? Bishop f5. Jesus. There had to be an easier way to do this. And then you have c5, don't you? I feel like you can push that now. You could. Alright. He was very cautious about moving pawns. Okay, this is also winning. But c5 was winning too. Yeah, I guess this wasn't the best. Jeez. So it wasn't as good after all. c5 was much better. Really wouldn't have given him a lot of counterplay. I underestimated how much counterplay he has here. Your king is like cut off. That's pretty annoying. So now we can play f4, f5. It's probably not enough. Wow. I'm glad you picked a short game to submit for the stream. I have a bad feeling about this. Are we even winning here? Oh, I can't believe we're even winning anymore. We're still winning? Bishop c2 instead of king c1? I just don't think the bishop c2 does anything. What does it do? Yeah, that's well, I don't really see why black has to take here. So if he doesn't take on c4, I mean, should he take here? It's a draw, unbelievable. Well, you have serious practical chances here, even if this is a draw. Two connected pass pawns. The pawn is a problem. You can blockade with the bishop. That looks suspicious, putting his pawn on a light square. Should he do that? Doesn't seem like a good idea to put the pawn in a light square. e4 is the best move. Can't argue with the computer, but it's not the only move. I wouldn't play e4. I would prefer not to. So apparently there's another move like bishop g8. What about bishop e6, for example? I mean, I don't know. This is very hard to judge. But I guess you can't make progress. It also does give him the king here. King e5. Which loses anyway. But I mean, this position is just too complex, Mr. Slow, for me to analyze, in less than 2 hours. We're just like listening to the computer here. So this is instructive. You push the pawn all the way up to h7. But how do we win? It's a draw now after g4. The only thing I can think of is that you can bring your king to e3 and then take on e4, and then your king is still in the square of the pawn. So that's apparently the point. Like, you shouldn't move any more pawns on white squares. Bring the king over here, threaten to take, then he'll probably have to play b3, and then you go back. So he's basically in Zugzwang. Or maybe not. Yeah, no, he's in Zugzwang. You're going to come around, eat the e-pawn. He's in Zugzwang. Yeah, exactly. So this is a mistake because it's not protected. So what's the point, though? Like, even still, I can do the same thing. What's to stop you? So what's he supposed to do here to hang on? Was some weird bishop move? I mean, like what? Bishop, where? How? Play b3. Okay. So I say I don't really get it. You know, are we gonna just do the same thing like g5? And I see. Okay, so now the point is like we do g5, but in order to make progress, we have to go after the pawn with this. He can do something like that, that, you know, that, and then when you take here, he's going to hold a draw. So your g-pawn got pushed up and it becomes a weakness, essentially. You were so careful about pushing your pawns and now you went too far. That's funny. And now this is winning, huh? Because you have this strange idea, which black probably just missed. He figured he was drawing already. It's actually not bishop f7. Would bishop f7 be bad, by the way? Like, I don't understand. King h8, if you go here, why can't you play like bishop f7? Are you serious? He's going to get all your pawns? He can't. This is winning. You can also go to f7. Alright. But this is just the same thing. You got to f7. That's a win. Very strange game. So this system makes it very easy to pick people off in AD move like endgame grinds. Thus your name. Well, I mean, you know, we can try it out. I guarantee, like, if I tried to play this line against... Well, I can't, because I associate it with all these, like, coffee house players. It's like playing the Smith Gambit or something. But if I try to play this against, like... I'm telling you, if I try to play this against someone on sound, he'll know to do, like, queen c7. He's looked at this a lot. The only question I have for you is that, you know, ultimately... you said you, like, prepared this. But why not queen f3? So you think this isn't as good, ultimately. Alright, that's the point. We looked at that, okay. So you think that black should allow this crap, and Inarkiev just didn't play as well as he could. This is basically okay for black. I think it's, like, equal. Alright. Okay, now my game is optional. I'll save that for last. Schumacher sending the game. Thanks, Mr. Slow, for the donation. You should have sent 88. How many moves was that? No, 50, 55, 55. Moves. Just. Schumacher with the chat ban. It's always hard to get notifications from people who are chat banned. Get PGN. Five chapters. Add members. No, I don't want to add members. Add a new chapter. Oh, come on, bro. Are you serious? I just pressed get cheat CPGN. Did it like download it? This is so annoying. Message. Yeah, okay. Can I just put the freaking game in? It's brutal, dude. View on lichess. Hey, maybe that'll work. Alright. Yeah, that's better. Alright, we're gonna do it that way. There it is. Alright, Schumacher, you last. Masturbate, danke, danke. Move 11 has gifted a sub to Leviathan. That's not you. Masturbate, did you gift a sub? Guys, we're up to 85.55. Alright, we're saving for a desktop. No tournaments for me unless someone dies in the next month until at least April, May. So the next game is Asterbate. Or Sun Prism. Sun Prism was first. Sun Prism is here. I didn't even say hi. Hi, Sun Prism. How are you? You know, our game the other day, I thought you played, like, awesome. And you played well. But we both made a lot of mistakes in that game. That was interesting. You know, it felt like you played an almost perfect game. And I looked at it afterwards, and there was, like, a number of, like, very bad blunders. I just want to say, like, that's a game... That game and my game with Zen Chess were worth looking at, you know, because a significant number of mistakes that weren't obvious there. You were lucky that I allowed Bishop G4, but I made a ton of mistakes. I wasn't playing well on Tuesday because I haven't been playing enough. I'm just going to put that out there. Since I haven't played since the World Senior, and I haven't been playing enough, period. Just really weak players in like 5-0 games, not enough competitive games here, not enough rapid. I'm out of practice. All right, this is Sun Prism against Aqua Acquaintance. No, Aqua. I can't say it. Aquila Blanca. Aquila Blanca. Here is white, or something like that. So d4 knight f6, c4 e6. We're black. You played Nimzo. He played queen c2. And yeah, well, I don't know what to do. You know, I don't know what to recommend. There are so many things to play. I played everything, but nothing seems better than, you know, it's like you play anything against the classical Nimzo. Objectively, one of White's best, most reliable lines. It's just like, dude, I don't know. It seems like it doesn't matter what you play. It's not easy no matter what. I've tried everything, but maybe Castles is the best. All right, so Castles, and then you sure you're not playing Schumacher? He likes to do stuff like Bishop G5. Yeah, I was tired too, so the quality of my games were lower than usual. Well, I wasn't tired. I wasn't tired. For me, it's different than being tired. I'm simply, like, not in form. There's a definite difference there. I had energy, I just wasn't playing well. And because I haven't been playing enough. I just want to clarify what I mean by that. I just got some kind of notification. Bring domesticated human. Nice. We all descend from, I told Aspray, we've all descended from a single cell organism. Lila, or something like Lula. Bishop G5. So, yeah, objectively, what's White's best move? A3. A3 is the most common. I think Bishop G5 is a mistake because of C5. Knight F3 is kind of transposing to other lines, and E3 isn't great. So you've got to play a3, e4. e4 is very sharp. e4 is very sharp. But basically, I think, the top players consider it to be sort of maybe forced equal. And so a3 is the more common try. e4 is very, very complicated though, so I would definitely want to make sure you know what you're doing there, because basically I don't trust d6. I think you have to go d5. And if you want to play something like with d6, then play d6 right away. I tried that because of a Lichess too, beating me the last time he was black in an IMSO a few years ago. But anyway, this is not considered dangerous, but it is playable. And now c5, and then I don't know. So we're going to transpose after d takes c5. I bet I have some games here with Schumacher. One. Only one? That's odd. I thought there was more than one for sure. So Amoeboid, that was one of the team. Yeah, I'm just checking how many games I have here. Just 9 games. I usually play c5. I don't know why I played d5. d5 I played? That transposes to a Rogozin. I might just do that by accident and when I wasn't paying attention or something. I would not normally play that. There's another possibility here of b6. Or the mouselet b5. We'll say b5 for the. It's a Vitalinge gambit deferred. Just play b5 and claim you made a mouse slip. You could probably play it in blitz or rapid. But b6 might not be that bad. No, e4 is a problem. Yeah. Okay, Vatnikov, Krogius, 1993. Jesus. Come on, Vatnikov. Vatnikov was in Boston by 94. That's insane. He lost to Bobby Seltzer in the Mass Open when Seltzer won it in 1994. That's insane. He's got a game here in 1993. Oh, wait, I won the Mass Open in 94. Maybe it was the following year. Could have been 95. That's weird. I definitely thought it was before me. Huh. Vatnikov was a really old Russian master who came to Boston when he was in his 70s. 2400. Doubt it. He was still that good by that point. Bishop g5. Okay, c5 best takes. And now, this is the question. You can play queen a5. Bishop takes c5 is transposing back into a normal line. I think Schumacher and I probably had knight a6. The question is queen a5, bishop f6. We had another game. Remember that? I had a game with Gregory Serper a million years ago where my knight ended up on b7. Aronian Caruana, black 1 with black 1. How do you win with black here? Not so easy. Okay, bishop d2 is a little bit of a loss of time. But queen a5 is definitely interesting, though I don't think black's winning chances are high. Knight a6 is probably the best move. And now g3. a3, So we're transposing Shankland Nakamura, Shankland Wei Yi. Bro. This is something not right here. Oh, there's Serper, see? Serper Yermolinsky, 2004. I think it was prior to that. Yeah, maybe against Serper I did Queen A5. But something weird happened. I also had a game with Schumacher. Not here though. Queen A5. Bishop takes F6. G takes F6. We had a very similar game with Schumacher. This should be here to verify. You have to play either Queen A5 or Bishop takes C3 check. But I'm surprised that even the great Shankland would have any games here with White. Because White's position is inaccurate. Damn, there's a really cool move the computer's looking at now. You guys see that? The secret move? ICTs. You don't do that when your king is castled kingside. You do that when you're not castled. This is not the Leningrad. Knight takes c5. And... damn, bro. Look at this move. Stockfish. 94, of course, you have to consider 94. But 94 doesn't have any... 94 is basically like, it's like cryptocurrency. It has no inherent value, you know? It's... it's just a pump and dump. 94 is a pump and dump, like, scam. B6 has, you know, your currency is backed with something that has actual value, which means that it's like development. We're actually developing with this move. This is a very cool idea. Unsound, but cool, according to the computer. Yeah. Yeah, the problem is if you have to trade queens, you're busted. We don't want to have to trade queens. You could take with the G pawn. It seems crazy. Yeah, I mean it's a pawn, man, but its queens are off the board. This isn't good enough. We have knight b4, knight c5. Wait, that's too much. You don't want to get the queens off. Okay, so it's not good enough. All right, queen takes c3, knight takes c5, and now bishop takes f6. Told you guys. Against Serper, my knight ended up on b7. That's never ever want your knight ending up on b7. And I somehow survived that game. But, you know, this is lame, dude. I don't know why Shankland would play this crap. So f3 almost transposes, but it's a blunder. Then you've got your knight e4. Grand Zuniga drawing Puligievsky in 1987. Bishop takes d8 the hard way. Bishop e7, knight b3, bishop takes f8, king takes f8. I think Ginsburg was talking about this. He said Puligievsky was like nowhere near like fully there. Was sick or something. Like at that time. Because he played in the same tournament in New York There was like a closed tournament in around 87. And Plugievsky died a few years later, but he was probably already sick. If he wasn't sick, he probably would have beaten Grenda Zuniga. Man, this is so lame for white. So he's got nothing better than bishop takes f6, queen f6, queen f6, pawn f6, and now look at white's score. My God, that's disgusting. Yeah, Serper, Larry Kaufman, 2002. Couldn't beat me, but it wasn't this exact position. I played it even worse. So b4 has a terrible score. e3 is the best move. We're following Serper, Kaufman, Serper, Yermolinsky. What is this where I did like b6 and got knight b7'd? That can't be right. You put the knight on a different square, you wouldn't go to b7. I would never voluntarily put my knight on b7. It happened in a different position because I had no other choice. I don't think. Although it's not impossible. Maybe I didn't trust knight a4. Put my knight on b7, I got tortured. b6 is the best move. Yeah, but I mean, I'm not sure like what white is really getting from playing b4 here. I mean, he's weakening the queen side, making a5 possible for black. So you're supposed to play knight a4. It looks scary. Score is rather good for black. White literally has never won a game in this position. I guess you could play like maybe bishop to d7 to protect the knight on a4. But the best plan would be just bishop b7, a5. He doesn't have time to attack your knight. Let's say bishop b7. Let's say bishop d3. I don't want, it won't let me. Bishop d3. You have immediate knight b2. Bishop e2. And then bishop a6. Oh my god. That's even worse. So this is surprisingly bad for white. But the knight doesn't have to go anywhere. You know? It doesn't have to go anywhere like right away. I mean, you're going to rescue it with a5. Once you play a5, it's like an accelerated dragon. You'll open the a file, and you can play bishop b7, rook a7, and double rooks. The question is, okay, where is it going ultimately? Yeah, okay, you have to answer that question. That's true. Where is it going in the long run? Maybe we could do something on c file. So let's just play bishop b7 and then pin him. But white has a development problem. You know, you might be able to do that same thing, by the way, with the bishop a6. Putting more direct pressure on c4. So your mistake here is very understandable. You know, you didn't trust a4. And that's ended up being the reason why I put my knight on b7 against Serper and got tortured. But the problem with knight e4 is he can kick you out. Now this is interesting. Bishop a6 is interesting. A more provocative way of playing. You know, he does have the d4 square for his knight. But here, I mean, you played f5, but I don't think that's a priority. I don't think that should be your priority here. I think your priority should be to get your king to the center, like king f8, king e7. There's no need to play f5. You're protected. There's a lot of value in playing king e7, though. You could potentially clear the g file, attack down that line, although he will play g3. You guard these critical central squares. So f5, but it gives your knight I get it. It gives your knight a retreat square, and this is okay. This is what you were probably thinking. There's some downsides. It decreases the flexibility of your pawn structure, and it gives him potentially the ability to go there. It's probably fine. I mean, either way, he had that square. This doesn't matter. But I want your king to be valid in the middle of the board. You know, you need to get your king in the middle of the board before it's too late. Now he's threatening this. So you might want to consider playing a6. So he doesn't go in there. But d5 is like kind of ugly. I mean, that looks like you're playing the Stonewall now. I'm not sure that white should take your knight on e4. But like, and if he takes here, what do? We take back? And then something like knight to b5? Do you have a tactic? Alright, so he goes for the knight versus bishop thing. You take with the f pawn, and then c4 is an issue. He has to push. And now the question is, you have this amoeba from hell in the middle of the board. I mean, you can play e5 at some point, but I mean, when do you want to play e5? Take and then play bishop a6. You can play bishop a6. You chose to blockade, which is also interesting. And you have a4. This is pretty solid. Looks very solid. Yeah, so white shouldn't make the mistake of like assuming that he's better here. You know, it's very common in Stonewalls. I would do that a lot, where I would think I was better. Not always is like good knight versus bad bishop better. It's not that, you know, it's not that you're going to kick him out of d4, but your bad bishop is actually a pretty strong piece. I mean, imagine if it gets to d3. White's not going to only not be better, he's going to be worse. And that's hard, you know, to evaluate. When he makes this exchange, he thinks, oh, black has a bad bishop. It's actually not that bad. So, I mean, here's something crazy, but maybe he should just exchange on d5. I mean, honestly, what do we do? I don't think you can take with the pawn. It doesn't look good. His knight's too stable on d4. You have to keep e5 in reserve. So it looks like c5, as tempting as it is, a mistake. He should take and just be careful, you know, that he's not worse. I think like you might be better after this, after c5. So you're gonna play like double rooks with c8, c7. Stick your bishop on a4. Let's see what happened. Well, what did the dude do? He went rook b1. Doesn't he have to play like rook c3, rook c1, try to double up behind his pawn? Hasta la vista. He's losing the pawn. You have a5. Oh no. Oh no. You had to play a5 and he can take it? Oh no. What about e8, by the way? I mean, is it safer to go here? God damn it. My mouse. Get me a new mouse. Is it a little safer to play bishop e8 rather than bishop d7 in some lines? I'm not sure. But it would be nice to have your king on a more active square like f6 or e7 by now. Other questions? Should you play a5 while you can? Because how does that work? So if you do that now, okay, he changes plan. He'll go there, right? And then if you play bishop a4, he plays rook c3. And Asterbate will tell you about the power of the pawn diamond. But we can't lose, you know, we can't afford to lose the base of the diamond. See, this makes sense now. The bishop on d7 would allow you to play e5. Alright. So you can't play a5. Go back. Threatening the pawn. He has to defend. He played a5. And he did what? So he didn't really think this through. Very bad what happened here. You played a5 and he didn't take the pawn. It's like, dude, I got news for you. I think you have to take that pawn. He was afraid of back rank. Rook takes, rook takes, rook takes. But he has knight b3. What is with my mouse, man? He has knight b3. Okay, you're better. You're better here. You might not be winning, but you're better. But to me, it looks bad. What happened in the game looks bad for him. This is like a clear pawn up. This way he gets the worst of both worlds. He's down a clear pawn. He still has back rank problems. His knight can get ejected with e5. Pretty much like everything went wrong that can possibly go wrong. At least he played h4 here. Is that important? So now he's like, now he's probably lost. Damn. Told you should have played bishop e8. He has one last try with the rook b8, king f8, and maybe some tricks. He's gonna have tricks. Oh no. Knight b5, you avert it. Okay. And you walk away. Game over. White wasn't exactly like the master of strategic planning. Alright. But anyway, good game. Good game by you. You played much stronger than your opponent, ultimately. Acerbate. But I think you learned the same lesson that I did, not to be afraid of putting that knight on a4. No, interestingly, I played the classical Nimzo with white too, and I also ran into trouble, like weakening myself on the queen side many games. You know, I know how dangerous knight a4 can be, but I still, with black, I also didn't play it. But against Serper, it was a slightly different position, I feel like, because I ended up playing queen a5 against him. Alright. Acerbate is black. But anyway, to make a long story short, you're moving the knight to e4 is probably not worse than my fianchettoing it with knight b7. Not a good idea to play the hedgehog with your knight on b7, or any opening with knight on b7, including the king's Indian, queen's Indian. Okay, so Acerbate versus a 1600. Acerbate is 1636. We're hoping for like Sicilian transposition. Keep in mind they can trade, but this trade is usually not good unless black does some specific weakening moves, like e6, for example. He plays knight c3. This transposes to, kind of like a dunst opening type thing. Acerbate is playing like Kovalenko. Not bad. And probably just as fast. b3. And that's kind of a weird move by white. I don't like b3, but whatever. Okay, bishop b2. And now, you played a very provocative move here with the b5. But I don't really think. Okay, it has value. You know, the value of b5 is that you can play bishop b7. Honestly, so what if he takes? What if he says, "Now you've weakened your structure. Now I'm going to take." I wonder. Should white consider this? Black still has like superior control of the center. You got to imagine that's dubious for white too. b5 is a bad idea? I mean, I don't think it's so bad. The computer likes queen c1. A la Laption. What, are you kidding me? Like this wins material? Oh my god. Well, no, you're kidding me, right? White wins material with queen c1. Dude, that's crazy. b4, and then knight e4, picking off the c5 pawn. I would have missed it, you know. It's such a weird idea. Damn. So it actually does loses a pawn. Crazy. Well, if you were playing Yuri Lapshin, you would have been done in short order, or Blatny. The world's great, like, b4, b3 players. But it's funny, like, what compelled you to play this b5 in the first place? You really should prioritize getting your kingside developed. I would think, like, knight h6 is worth considering. Then you have to watch out for h4, h5. So maybe you should just go with the kind of normal d6. Don't play this though, because then you really... My mouse is totally losing it. Alright, new mouse. That's like the fourth time I've done like a mouse slip in the last couple streams. It's like dropping pieces on the halfway point. If e6, bishop takes c6 starts to become like a viable option. So you should consider either d6. I mean, even e5 is probably better than e6. And then of course knight f6. Allowing this pin may not be such a big deal. Ultimately, that's your alternative. You could just castle. Or, you know, even if you really want a fianchetto, you could play b6, and this is fine too. If you really want to counter fianchetto, do b6, not b5. But it's hard for white to see that threat, so he doesn't see it. This is fine. Knight f3, knight f6, okay, and then knight d5, to be expected. Castles, that's fine, and now knight f4. That's pretty weird. I mean, I would think like white would definitely take and give you deviled pawns. Which way would you recapture then? With the bishop or with the pawn? I mean, I don't know. Hey, what's up, D's Tricks? Which way do we recapture here? But anyway, it's not important. It's not really an important question. I think either way is okay. Let's get to the important stuff. White plays knight f4. What kind of move is that? He played knight d5 so he could play knight f4. This is horrible. Well, why? What does he do? He's just wasting time. Now you of all people played d5. I expected you to play d6, but you were probably afraid of this diagonal. I'm not certain he has anything he can do on that diagonal. But there's certainly nothing wrong with d5, except for the fact that he can probably trade pieces here with this move. So I thought you would go d6 and just fluidly develop with bishop b7 and then, play for e5. It's ironic, though. Astrobate almost never plays d5, and he did it in this game. And now White just played like a idiot. I mean, what is White doing? Knight to g5. So it's some kind of very complex and strange method of... He's ultimately attacking the d5 square twice, or in effect 3 times, because he can threaten to take on f6 and take on d5. The problem is when he takes on d5, you can take and attack his knight. So, if you just, for example, played bishop b7, he has no threats, because bishop takes f6, bishop takes f6, and his knight's attacked. So I think you should react fluidly, but instead you impulsively play knight d4. It's another way of solving the problem, but it's not a constructive way of solving the problem. This doesn't help you. You're playing like him. And what are you going to do? Like put your knight on f5 now? He should play e3. And like, yeah, what are you going to do now? He might even win a pawn. After bishop takes f6. Pawn takes f6. Bishop takes d5. See this mouse, man. My mouse is just cutting me off. I don't think this is good for White. I still hate his position, but develop. Okay, knight d4 takes. He's missing his dark square bishop. He shouldn't do that. But he can obviously kick your knight out with this sensible move. If bishop g4, he has f3. So his position is playable, although very strange, with a knight on g5. But this move, I think White lost total control of the center. White might be almost lost after bishop takes d4, because effectively his whole plan is gone. You're threatening to overrun him with e5. What is he doing? It's all in ruins now. With one simple move, he ruined his whole position. And then he played d3. And how many squares does this knight have? Just h3? Jeez. I mean, clearly you can play e5. Whatever. He just sacrificed a knight for nothing. He pre-moved. He's expecting e5. Maybe he has my mouse. That's what happened. He borrowed my mouse. And he meant to play knight h3, but he played knight takes g6 instead. Well, you're not even threatening anything, and you just sacked his knight like it's Bughouse. It's not even a good sack in Bughouse. Knight takes f7, maybe. I don't know, dude. This is probably better. If you're going to sack a piece, at least sack for the base of your pawn chain. No, e5 forces him back to h3. And, he's lucky he's not losing a piece here. Like h6, knight f3, g5. Oh no. Now there's only one move for White. No, there's a couple moves. He can go back. This is wonderful for White, right? Very bad. Anyway. He did a double knight sacrifice. Astrobate, you've outdone yourself this week. What a game. It's amazing this guy can be 1600. You really waited on this bishop h6. You had that last move. Now you did the reverse Bughouse sack with knight takes f2. You're like, yeah, take that, bro. I can sack my knight too, but mine's sound. Sort of. You took. You didn't pin him with bishop e3. He has bishop f3. But this is over. Rook f3, pawn f3, like bishop takes h3. Sorry, that's illegal. But anyway, you're up a piece. You're up a piece. It doesn't matter. You can afford to do this. Oh, he has queen e1. He didn't do it. Okay, this is viable. Keeping the lines closed. Very wise. Now I feel the end is near. Twitch just made what? Main 2. Boom! Now he's taking the pawn. Alright, Aspamate. That was a really, really, really bad game by your opponent. Not so much by you. Guys, thanks for joining me. We are accepting gays from subscribers. Now I got a gay here. Sent in by Lunch for Prim. I don't know if Lunch for Prim... Oh no. Oh no. I don't know if Lunch for Prim is a subscriber. He's playing the guy who like signs up for tournaments and puts himself in every tournament just to get his name recognition. Not a fan of him. Alright. The guy who joins tournaments for name recognition and never plays a move. Copy. Learn, study. First I have Schumacher. However, Schumacher with white against Dinakis. This is from Tuesday's tournament. You can't stay at 1600. Oh, I have issues. These tricks. My brain fog, for example. I haven't had any alcohol in 5 days. Believe me, I have a lot of issues. Extreme aging. How do we just jump from like 28 viewers to 12? No. No beer. No, I don't want beer. I don't want alcohol. So, my brain fog is bad enough. D4, knight f6, c4, g6, knight c3, blah, blah, blah. Okay, h3, castles, bishop e3. Probably best. And now black plays a6, which is a move. Now, one line that I think is interesting is the c6, b5 type of setup. Soltis, the fluid type setup isn't really easy for white to handle, and you can't just castle queenside. I kind of like that. By creating tension, it makes it a little harder for white to play. But so after a6, I mean g4, this is kind of extreme, dude. g4 is the sort of move that I think you do when the center is fixed. But this is a little early to be playing g4 because center is not fixed. Black has less chance of playing c5 successfully. So maybe you have that in your favor. So let's say if g4, c5, a6 makes it softer, like b6 square. Let me just throw that in there, okay? So say you're black here. Weber's burger? Weeb burger. Whatever happened to chess dweeb? Okay. g4 c5. What if you're a Dweeberger and you want to try to refute g4? c5 is usually the refutation of g4. But here, if you take, I can still play queen. Jesus Christ. I'm going to throw the mouse out the window. Do you think, like, unplugging it and plugging it again would do anything? God damn, I hate this mouse. Alright. So, queen c7. Hey, maybe I accidentally found the great move. No. We go here, like, me against Kaidanov 20 years ago, except white and black didn't have the retarded g4 a6 moves, and then white would play what? Anytime I see g4, like there was this guy in the National Open in Vegas once. He tried to play like the Grob or some shit against my King's Indian. He did like an immediate g4. I was like, dude, whatever, you know, and I just played c5. I think he did 5 g4. Is that a line? No, you can't. I guess the guy did like bishop e2, castles g4. So I went c5, and I just had a good game. I mean, it's similar. But here we have the additional move, bishop e3, a6, and now g4. So I'm saying, like, black can't react with this. Alright, I'm not going to say he can't react. I feel like black should react more actively. Knight bd7, it's okay, it's a move. But why not try to turn it into a Benoni if we can? Yeah, it's doing it. God damn it, Jerry. c5. Fuck you. It will not go. It's like auto-clicking. So d takes c5. Now queen a5, queen a4. This is the problem. This is a serious problem. So that kills queen a5. Anyway, okay, whatever. I don't like g4. It's not right. You know, I don't know. g4 is too early. You know, okay, then... I mean, black can play anything. Black can play e5. Black can play c6. I like c6. And that's about it. What are the move played in the game? Knight c6. Again, I'm not a huge fan of this move here, but d5. We need a quick mouse donation. Yeah, we might have to go over the threshold to like 1550 or something. Or I'm going to have to use the early donation money to buy a new mouse. Because it just keeps dropping, like, it keeps dropping pieces on mid squares. Secondhand mouse. Yeah, I don't know, man. I don't trust this. I don't trust this. Mr. Sloan, I just gave the tier 1 sub to D's Tricks. Thank you. So, yeah, I don't know. I like c6 better. And I definitely don't trust g4. Now the question is, should black go back? Do you hear that magical fairy music in the background, Mr. Slow? Almost enough for a mouse. We got 2 gift subs. Mouse money. Mickey Mouse money. Scherzo HTF got a gift sub. Thank you, Mr. Slow. So I don't know. A g4 and d5. Let's just move all the pawns. And now f4, obviously. Now black's not sacking on g4. Okay, so white is fully extended. White is fully extended and ready for a porno reference. Anyway, this is a rapid game from our tournament. Actually, blitz, because Schumacher is playing with 5 minutes against 10. He's playing like a maniac. White is weakened himself, but Black hasn't played properly either. The next move is really, really horrible. Black has to make a good move now. So, what would a good player play? C6. I still like C6. E6. Something to open the position because White's king is still in the middle of the board. Okay, it's possible these sort of pawn avalanches will be played. I mean, even E5 is possible. Though I guess there, it's too much space. I would say Black is probably spatially lost after F5. Black can't screw around here anymore, but this is way too slow. I would think like B6 is too slow. Maybe it's not that bad. You're asking White to run you over, but knight d4. You're serious here? Like knight d4, bishop b7? Maybe this isn't that bad, because it looks pretty bad, man. I don't like Black's position now. White's position is starting to just look like crushing spatially. Black has failed to do anything. Now the other thing is like maybe he shouldn't play knight c6, but maybe he should just go back to b8 in the first place. I don't really see, what's the point of like knight d5, f4, knight d7. You might as well just go back to b8 and play like a Nimzovich or something. F4 isn't completely useless. So too reckless play, but this is probably wrong. Queen d2. Just trying to play bullet chess. You're gonna walk right into knight c5. Yeah, this is stupid. Because Schumacher is trying to play, bullet chess and win on time. But you just justified Black's position. Now you have to trade pieces, and that makes the space advantage less valuable. I would take that bishop instantaneously if I were Black here. Every piece you trade reduces White's, attacking chances and kind of makes Black's prospects a little bit better. Ultimately, White is more overextended. His overextended feels more overextended. But he lets you have time to go like bishop c2 now. Objectively, this is not such a bad move, maybe. Because if we do bishop c2, it looks like Black's opening it up. He can get pressure here. I guess c6 isn't so bad. This is crazy. So this is obviously just a joke. This game is kind of a joke for Schumacher. He thinks it's funny. But I don't like the way he played it. It's looking like pretty dubious. I wouldn't be surprised if Black had some kind of crazy ass sacrifice here, like knight takes. What's going on? Nice mouse you got there, Saji. Knight takes c4. How does this work? How exactly is this working? This is a good game. Thumbs up. Knight takes c4. Knight takes c4. Knight takes c4. Bishop takes c4. Bishop takes a1. Pawn takes e6. I think that this is a little bit problematic. Not a good game to submit for the stream. Are you sure you sent me the right game? I don't know if he's still here. But, I mean, he's got an opponent who also plays too fast, and he misses knight takes e4. I think you kind of got to play. Yeah, queen d2 is horrible. I mean, with the knight is aiming for c5. And you're like sitting there and you know that because it can't go to e5. And you put your queen on d2 here. I was going to suggest just knight d4 right away, though. I think this is the most logical move with a, probe knight. But Mr. Stowe's suggestion of bishop g2 is also viable. Simply good too. Queen d2 is trash. Knight c5? No insult intended. The other question is, should white admit he made a mistake and play like queen c2? Sometimes it's better to admit you made a mistake than keep going down the same bad line. Like here, can we just say, okay, I fucked up. I'll put my queen on the proper square. Yeah, I know that maybe black can open it up. You could play crazily with castle's queenside. It's an option, though. Here, bishop d3. And now just a blunder, and he takes here. So does he have knight takes e4 now? I'm starting to wonder if he doesn't have knight takes e4. Starting to wonder. What is this like? What is this game? You submitted a game to show us how many blunders you made and your opponent didn't see? Ooh, knight e4, slicey. Poor Dinekis. Look at that. Is that yeah. I don't think that white has any compensation. But in white's just his whole position is a vacuum. It's lost. Horrible play by Schumacher, who was probably drinking. Speaking of drinking, c takes d5, c takes d5, rook e8. And now white woke up and he was like, oh, knight takes c4 is a threat. He probably saw this too, king f2, bishop takes g4. Dinekis has improved dramatically as well. I don't know, Asterbait. I would say Dinekis is incredibly hard to pin down. He's just incredibly inconsistent. It depends on when you play him, and I don't know. Sometimes it seems like he used to be better. But he just has impulsive, he plays impulsively worse than you. Tries to play too fast. So king d2. Now do we have any tactics for black? It may be too late now. Queen e7, the obvious suggestion. It's so funny, black can play queen e7. How do you protect e4 after queen e7? Maybe someone will remind me. How does that happen? Anybody have a suggestion? Maybe you could show me. How exactly does one protect this? You can't, right? You have to play e5. Knight g5, h6. There are various, schemes. You could try to sack a piece or something. But he just plays bishop e7 on feel. And then, okay, maybe he's right. Maybe white has nothing. One thing I don't understand is why Schumacher refuses to do this, which is clearly a good move. Maybe here, he has a reason. This looks crushing. Look at that. Smart chopper on both diagonals. Chop, chop. Crunch. Ask me, what's your favorite breakfast cereal? Look, Schumacher berserked. We know that. And Dinekis still plays fast. But man, he just doesn't go for these crushing moves, man. Knight takes e4 check. h4. Black could even take here on g4, but he played c6 instead. c6 isn't bad. Now h5, c takes d5, h takes g6, and now f takes g6. But you got to ask yourself why f takes g6. Is this the Yugoslav dragon? I'm surprised all the time by people who do stuff like this. Why? Does white really have like a mating attack on the h file? Like, is like white tripled with Alekine's gun on the h file? Take toward the center unless you have a really good reason not to. And you don't have a really good reason not to here. You should definitely take toward the center. White is nowhere close to threatening like mate on the h file, and you're destroying white in the center. But if you do it this way, I still think there's a very slight chance. There's a much greater chance that you run into problems. This diagonal is more real, and I think the knight g5. This is a huge inaccuracy by black. Definitely take with the h pawn. Now white takes with the knight. Okay, this is just rubbish. This is like dice chess. Are you sure this isn't dice chess? You just like randomly rolled a move on a 16-sided die or something like that? Black has so many crushing moves, it's hard to decide. I would go for a central pawn, first and foremost. Always take the central pawn, if you get the central pawn. Central pawns are worth more than flank pawns. Definitely knight e4. And meanwhile, the white king has nowhere safe to go. This is really weird. I mean, black decides now. Like, first off, he decides to give up his light square bishop. Which I think is unnecessary. You take this with check, and now where does white go? The c file is bad. d1 isn't good. The rook's hanging. It's over. He takes here, and that's a good piece. Like, why give up your light square bishop? Take, and then takes that. And that move is kind of random. Though now, I think objectively, knight e4 check is still strong. It's still strong. White he still doesn't have anywhere to go. He's still lost during knight e4 check. But this move, really? Knight takes g4, and then here. I'm surprised they still have so much time. Look, they still have 3 minutes. Lady in black. Now for the first time, black might seriously be in some trouble. Suddenly, possible sacrifices on h7, knight g5. And the knight g4 does absolutely nothing for black. So he decides to go back after picking up that booty. Honestly now, knight e4 is still a threat. And now, boom. Suddenly, there's no knight e4. And then black is in trouble. Now don't tell me he takes on d5. He had the sense to not take on d5. But black, where is black's play now? Black is in a difficult situation. Just like that. Just like that, I'm already seeing nightmares. Can black even save this position? Because it's like a pawn sack, but I guess 96 is a serious threat. Like this defensive move, rook a7, would be a normal thing to do, but this is so strong. It's so strong already. There's knight takes h7. I don't think that black might be already okay, The computer claims he's still holding after queen d7. I can't believe it. So it's going to do it's going to do the concrete sack. Or maybe queen d7, queen b5, trading queens. There's two ideas. Idea one is that you can sack the exchange on e6 and have two pawns for the exchange and maybe survive. And now secondly would be to come out here where you're like trading queens. But he hesitated and played rook c8, which is slow. Doesn't sense the danger. Waits till white plays knight e6. Then he like moves his queen when it's forced. But already the knight is embedded on e6. And here white has to play quickly, I would think. The game move is a joke. I mean, you might... I don't know. We have to play very quickly here. I was going to say, like, you have to consider taking on g7, but then knight e4 check is crushing. You can't even play knight takes g7, by the way. Because this is so strong. Can you imagine? King d1. Is this the problem, officer? Or maybe just here. I don't know. I mean, queen takes g7. That's kind of funny, right? Queen g7. I love this mouse. My new mouse. Bishop takes g7. Knight f2 check. Black is better. Horrible. So, rook h2. That's the best we could do. Maybe. But did you see this? Okay. With the white king exposed, I guess we don't want to trade queens. Shouldn't black consider sacking the exchange here? Although maybe that's part of white's idea. The rook can come here. For example, pawn takes, queen takes. We're not mating black. We can try to survive, or maybe not. I'm not feeling too safe. You know, I like black. Even down the exchange here. But still, that's a practical thing for black to do. What he did is perverse. He played this. Like, it wasn't bad enough to put the knight on g4 once to take the pawn. Now he puts the knight on g4 just to put the knight on g4 to attack the rook on h2. That is really, really bad. Like, pretty much every move for white is good. Rook e2. You're lucky rook takes h7 doesn't work. He did rook takes h7. I don't think that even works, does it? Oh, he has the point of queen h3, knight h6, knight g5 check? Uh-huh. So it's kind of like a cheapo. He has this cheapo. Yeah, a really uninspiring game by Schumacher. Rook takes h7. Yeah, that's the one move tactic. With queen h3 check, black may have seen, like, oh, queen h3, knight h6, but he's losing the queen, you know, to knight g5. This is such a bad game by both sides. It's why I don't play bullet chess, and why, because the game was played like a bullet game. Like, we can call it 10-0 or 5-0 or 10-5, but when you get down to it, both sides played a bullet quality game here, and it's just rubbish. Rook takes h7. I mean, this was horrible, dude. This is horrible. Maybe there's a funny finish or something, you know. Rook takes e6. Rook takes g7 check, queen g7, bishop g7. It would be funny if black actually had like a winning move or something. That would be funny. But otherwise, this is just a... Do we have a move? Knight f2. I guess here's the point. It's easy for black to just roll over and die now. But what if black has a move here? It's hard to find a move if you don't actually use the time to think. He has 6 minutes on the clock. He found knight f2. Okay, I was wondering about this. And so, maybe white... The problem is black, I guess, just doesn't have enough threats. There's only knight e4 check. And so ultimately, that's it. It does buy him time to save his rook for the moment. But I guess that's not enough. So if you play queen g3 or queen f3, there's queen f3, queen g3, queen d4. Queen g3 loses, so it's queen d4. Actually, queen f1, queen f1, queen f3, or queen d4. Not queen g3. Threefold. Pretty hard to do a threefold. I guess if we go, yeah. So if you play Astrobate, if you play like queen b3, the point would be, yeah, maybe there's some kind of draw. I don't even think there's that though. Because ultimately, like, you know, I could even move my king in the line. And I'm going to take your rook. So it's probably not enough no matter what. Now he plays this, he just lost a piece. Yeah, horrible game. Horrible. I don't know what to say. So I don't know if this player is a subscriber. Lunch. Lunch, have you been gift subbed? If you're out there, let us know you're live. But I don't recommend his opponent. He's this guy who he does this really disgusting thing where he like signs up for every tournament on lichess, doesn't play to try to promote himself. It's really grotesque. I presume this is from one of this grotesque character's simuls. Not a particularly great line for white, it's okay. Now black played c6, but I don't know why. Hard to understand why Lunch would play c6. Okay, Astrobate, it's a theory. It's a working theory. Don't understand the point of c6 really. You would slightly increase your control of the d5 square, but it doesn't seem vital here. d5, bishop e7, d6. That's about it. However, white's position is inherently slow, so c6 maybe not that bad. Now d3. Oh. International master. Still, it's not so bad. Check. And then he has bishop c3. Now I expected black to play bishop b4 here. Trading pieces, but on favorable terms. Black is equal after bishop b4. Instead, he plays for more with queen f5. And that is a neat move. You could also play queen g5. Maybe. While we're at it. But if you play queen g5, some players might be apt to play h4. So it's risky. But I have to say this is interesting. I mean, I can't stand my mouse. But I expected bishop b4. Black's pretty solid after that. And that's a good square. We have a Greek gift sacrifice. I was thinking pawn takes pawn, and if bishop takes, like, it might work. This has gotten out of control. Bishop takes h2. Check. No, there's a knight covering f3. Alright, there's no Greek gift sac. Queen g6 threatening the subtle, super subtle bishop h3. It's super subtle. Now keep in mind, White is probably this guy doing like 5-minute simuls or something. It's a 20 minutes. Not that bad. Okay, he's not as bad as those other clowns, but still. Not big into self-promoters or people that do sleazy stuff. Bishop takes f6, bishop h3. And now White has an interesting move here, bishop f3. But instead plays g3, he sacks the exchange, takes. Wait, what? Aren't we supposed to take his rook? Yeah, I mean, White made a mistake. So after bishop takes f1, bishop takes f1, queen takes f6, d takes e4. Black is better. Black is up the exchange. What happens is simuls are played by these players who don't allow enough time, and so they end up playing like really crappy level chess. And I think that's what happens here. G takes f6, d takes e4. That's why I do the longer simuls, because I don't see the point in playing crappy chess. Life's too short to play crappy chess, and I play crappy chess even with the longer time controls. D takes e4. Now our structure is a disaster, but we have two bishops and some space. And now I expected White to maybe go knight d6 check here, but it's probably not good enough. You know, you just take and then take his rook. There's one line I want to check. Knight d6 check, takes, queen takes, bishop takes f1, and then like White has no threats. No threats. So he has to be down the exchange. Looks like White is objectively losing. So there's no time for that. He has to save the exchange. Now Black plays h5, threatening h4 and sacrificing everything on g3. Honestly, looks like it's the kind of position you could get yourself into with White. Yeah, this looks like the kind of position I would get myself into in a tournament game. So now knight d6 check, which it seems logical. You know, it's kind of like, well, why not? Computer thinks he had a better move. Okay, whatever. What do you expect from a guy with no time? Check, king f8, and now knight takes b7. Simul game. Totally underestimating White's threats. This is a reckless move played on autopilot, but it's obvious to me that, you know, there's going to be some serious reckoning here. So White must have thought he could do something, you know, heroic, like maybe he plays g4 exactly. Any strong player has to see this, you know, h4, bishop takes g3, h takes g3, blah 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 blah. But he thought he could be a hero and play g4 when you play h4. So this was his misconception, you know, thinking that this was like a legitimate defense for White. First off, you know, the Acer mate here, we have to deal with queen g5, queen here, and maybe White could see this, but there's also like bishop e5. What I don't know about, the other thing is also possible takes on g4. You you could possibly do like takes on g4, bishop takes g4, and f5, effectively getting the piece back, and black's okay. I would assume black is okay. Black is not worse here in any case. But you played a move that's white offered a draw because white was scared, because white realized he was worse. And now the question is, what's the best move? Queen g5, f5, bishop takes g4, or this amazingly creative move black played in the game, rook h5. And that's a scary move. That's not on my radar. That's computer-esque. But it has some points. You're threatening another added attacker. Rook h5 may be very strong. And white obviously would have missed that. Now king h1, although the most natural move. White's not finding this move. The computer wants to play f4. That's hard to find. He plays king h1, very natural continuation, and now rook d5, centralizing the rook. Now, are you going to tell me like the knight on b7 is trapped? Something like that? Well, that's not white's only problem. So he plays queen c1. So that's like secondary. The knight's just out of play, Why not rook g8 instead of rook h5? Well, rook you c. Why you answer your own question, Gypsy? Well, you could see in the game, the rook had more than 1 point. It goes to d5. This is a really strong square. That's centralized. It drove his queen off the file, I wouldn't be surprised if rook h5 was the engine move, I probably, to be honest with you, I probably would have played this. But after bishop g4, f5, white has queen d4, for example. I don't know if that's good enough. Maybe you can't play that. But anyway, I'm just saying what I would have done, probably something like this. And I would have assumed that black is okay. I think white goes for the end game. We probably get something like this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I mean, that knight is close to getting trapped. This position is unclear. If the knight gets trapped, it's not clear white's winning. But if it's not trapped, the position is unclear. But rook h5 could be like engine number 1 move. I wouldn't be surprised. And white might have some surprising move here. What about like queen d7? No, I think rook g8 is a more natural move. Okay, but black doesn't care about the c7 bishop, right? Like, that doesn't matter. So, screw the c7 bishop. If queen d7, for example, I guess I just go here. And you take my bishop, and I have the crushing rook takes check, ouch variation. That's serious. That's some serious ouch right there. And you also can't get that by putting a rook on g8. The rook being in front of the queen plays a massive role, actually. And the move that white has to find, according to the engine, is practically impossible. f4. Like, who's going to play f4? Oh, I'll just play f4. That solves all my problems. No. I mean, king h1 is much more natural. Here. And now bishop takes g4. Now, you have rook g1, which is what the dude did. And then what black does is brutally strong. He sacks the queen. And it's just curtains. Rook takes g6, f takes g6. I imagine that white is lost here. Queen a3 check. And then, gotta watch this square. So he goes king f7. And then white is like really close to getting mated. But white, what can white do? He allows a mate. Most people would have panicked and played bishop f3 check, but black calmly plays rook g5. which is really, really nasty. Very computer-like play after rook h5. White resign. I mean, I don't think I would have found rook h5 in a fast game. But let's see what the computer says. Yeah, it's the engine move. Rook g8's top 4. My move is top 4. Bishop takes g4. There's another move, f5, which is quite strong. Well, that's more natural. But rook h5 is the hardest move to find. Of the top 5 moves, this is clearly the hardest move to find. Rook h5. Rip white. All right, I want to show one last thing. We got through all the subscriber games, or non-subscriber games, and I want to show you guys a game I played on Tuesday, which was funny. If we have time. Thanks for joining us, Chipsy. So, I was black against Zen Chess, who's not here, and he played the Italian game against me, and I started playing g6 because I got so sick of people playing the Italian game, and they know all the lines, and so g6 is kind of like lesser known, get out of book. I've also played knight a5, as some of you know. It's a lot of fun, but it's not quite sound, let's say. So this is a really funny game. Check this out. g6, and then white plays d4 and transposes to the Scotch, or Scotch Gambit, with d4. Black takes, and now, very interesting move here for white is the Danish Goring Gambit-esque c3. And so if white plays c3, we have to play, I think we have to play like d3 and give the pawn back, a la Grandu Zuniga. But here's another interesting move white has. After pawn takes pawn, white can play bishop g5. This is very cool. And this is also interesting. But anyway, I'm not going to give away all of white's good ideas. He plays knight takes d4. We enter into a kind of g6 Scotch. Bishop g7. And then, what's up, anonymous player? How's it feel to be anonymous all the time? Now white plays a very strange move. You know, I don't understand this. I guess, okay, he's pretending it's like a Scotch. Yeah, come to think of it, it's not so strange. Alright. White's pretending it's a normal Scotch and plays like bishop e3. Theoretically, you could play c3. But normally, Mr. Slow, I don't know if Mr. Slow is still out there. You know, Mr. Slow, by the way, this is right up your alley. Because we get, you know, a kind of exchange accelerated dragon and in exactly the same structure that you like. But actually, I think it's a little better for white because black doesn't have the pawn on. In the Sicilian, your pawn is over here. Objectively, better to have more pawns in the center. I'll show you guys a funny position, though, that happened in this game. So bishop e3, knight f6, knight c3, castles. And now I was really surprised here. I don't know what I expected white to play, honestly. But I guess like castles I expected. What would you guys expect white to play here? I would expect castles, you know, probably. There's really no time for like h3. And so this is the funny part, right? White plays f3 like he's playing the Yugoslav attack against the dragon. And you know, a strange thing happens now. I know something about chess. But look at the games in the opening explorer. 5, 8, 7, 8, 7, 7. 7 games. White has never won a single game. Okay? The lesson is you can't play like everything. Like the salad against black's g6 setup. You can't play the Yugoslav. The lesson is that you can't play the Yugoslav attack against the Scotch with g6. You know, you can do some things, but not all of them. And basically, like, Zen chess is trying to do everything. But black failed to find the best move in all of the games, except for me. But I know this because Steinitz did it, you know. And I was going over old Steinitz games years ago. I found this idea, you know, which was a fantastic game. I don't remember who he was playing against. But the entire idea of playing g6 against the Steinitz, against the Scotches, is Steinitz. But so knight a5 is better than knight e5. There's several people who played knight e5 here, including Balashov. I don't know, that's another Balashov. I don't know. Actually, I don't know who that is. It might be the old Balashov. No, that's Yuri Balashov. It's okay. It's a common Russian name, probably. Anyway, rook e8 is very natural, and it's good. Knight e5 is okay, but knight a5. So those of you who think that, like, you know, putting the pieces on the side of the board is wrong, well, this is why that's too dogmatic. You know, knight a5 is the best move, as shown by Steinitz, and this is why bishop c4 isn't so good against the g6 Scotch. But it's instructive. What happens now? I expected him to play bishop b3, and I would take and play, you know, break in the center with d5, which was Steinitz's whole idea. Fred, don't count here, Uber driver. So knight a5. White plays a bad move, but there aren't any really good moves. Black's already better after 8 moves. Black's slightly better after 8 moves because his king's in the center. And now bishop e2. And then the funny thing happened. I played d5, and then he surprised me here, because I expected white to play e5. The problem is, you expect e5. Steinitz's opponent in a similar position, like took, and black just got the upper hand. It was like pawn takes, knight takes, queen takes. This was X versus Steinitz, 18 something, you know. Steinitz was just better. He got the 2 bishops. He put his knight on c4, had the bishop pair. But, you know, obviously if e5, I can go here, and now I'm threatening this. c5, d4. It's a fork. You know, I'm going to fork you. So, it's possible you could play like knight takes d5, knight takes here, maybe survive. But an amazing thing happens. I play d5, and check this out. So Zen chess plays b4, a move I didn't even consider. And this is the most beautiful part of the game. I mean, I think this moment, because there's this move here for black that I didn't consider, and it's so just beautifully instructive. I mean, it's not clear. Maybe my move is the best, and my move is the obvious move, to just go back and keep fighting for the center. But I could play c5. This is such a cool idea. He literally attacks my knight with b4, and I just ignore it and play c5 myself. And now black has, you know, a sizable advantage, probably. I think this is just such an ironic and kind of cute idea for black. It just didn't occur to me. It just didn't occur to me. And I'm like reacting to his threat. I can react to his threat by in fact, like, distracting that threat over to here. You know, then I just go back to my original plan of attacking the center. So I'm effectively, like, deflecting his threat. He shoots an arrow at me. I just, like, deflect the arrow the other way and then keep doing what I was doing in the first place, which is like boom, boom, boom. Destroying enemy center. That's what we do here. Unless we're Uber driver, when we just, like, interject, like, random shit to distract people from concentrating on actual analysis. So, alright. The game continues. Knight takes c6, b takes c6, and then white played e5. And after the game, I thought, oh, this is such an interesting game. Well, it was, but there's so many missed opportunities here in this game. c5, yeah, it's very, 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 very amazing move. At this point, I wanted to play knight d7. You know, like that's the natural move. The problem is, if you play knight d7, white will play f4. And as I've learned in the Accelerated Dragon, when you do f6 in this type of structure, you get plonked by knight takes d5. And there's this tactical little point here that the rook on a8 is forked. Not really Uber driver. Sorry. Not really similar to the Grunfeld. Alright. But here, there's another move. And I thought knight h5 doesn't work because of f4. I'm thinking there's something for me here. Yeah, f6 anyway. Oh god. This like the Carlsen plays the Norwegian rat or whatever. We just play f6 anyway. Let him take on h5 and just ignore it with pawn takes pawn. I mean, this is just like Rudolf Spielmann-esque. It's extremely strong for black. I'm likely going to get my piece back. He probably has to like give the piece back, no matter what. So that ironically was another strong way to play it. But my move might even be the best. Knight e8. Wait. Oh man. I'm thinking of a different game. Crazy. Okay. I started to have this weird hallucination. This was a different game where I played another game in the same line with knight e8, but whatever. Okay. That was different. My pawn was on d6. Knight d7, f4, and now queen e7, and now bishop d2, f6, e takes f6, and now here. Oh, by the way, another point. Check this out. Speaking of Rudolf Spielmann, I thought I thought a long time in this position, like on the most of any move in this game, maybe like a minute or a lot of time. Let's see. Yeah, I thought for a minute and 30 seconds. 10 move time control, I thought a minute and 30 seconds on queen e7, because I judged this to be like a critical position. But guess what? What would Rudolf Spielmann do? He would just sack the knight immediately. You know, so it's just like, oh my god, so many opportunities. We can sack here immediately, because I want immediate gratification. And I'm down a piece. But Rudolf understood. We don't talk about Fred or Barney here. Just William and Rudolf. Uber driver, sorry. This is White can't survive. His best move is to get back a piece again. Like castling is probably his best move. Just not defending his knight. Just lose the whole knight back. Castles is probably best. So try to ignore that clown. Alright. Bishop d2 was played. f6, e takes f6. And now I made another mistake. Because you think, oh, bishop d2 isn't a move. Well, it kind of is a move. I mean, he was trying to protect his b4 pawn and he had tricks, you know. He's hoping for queen takes b4, Mr. Slow. I mean, it's a move. He's hoping that he can do this. Oh, after the knight sack. Yeah, oh, sorry. Yeah, knight takes c5 takes here, bishop d2, and then queen f6, right? Yeah, we have to continue. Queen f6, rook f1. Yeah, we keep going. Now I guess we keep going. Queen h4 check. It involves sacking a piece. We go fully Rudolf Spielmann, that is. Best is rook f2, queen h2. And so you have to have the... What about g3, actually? Well, g3 isn't going to help. g3, let's just say g3, queen takes h2. Yeah. I'm threatening bishop takes g3. Damn. It's like, oh, waits up a piece. Okay, have fun with that. It's +7. Yeah, oh, only +7. No problem. I mean, I have 4 pawns. No, I have 3 pawns for a piece. I have 3 pawns for a knight, but it's +7. So is getting your king out of the center important? Yeah, it is. But black has to be like, you know, quick. And so I played bishop d2, f6. And on e takes f6, I convinced myself that it's better to take with the knight. You know, I want to open my bishop. And so it turns out that this is better. But it's like, why is that better? Can anyone explain to me why? Why would it be better to take with the bishop here? Doesn't he just get away with, like, castles? No! Oh, God, that's what it was. So I assumed he got away, but I have that. Right. It takes in check and takes his bishop on c3. So it's really like queen g7. Yeah, that was another idea. That's another idea. Here he has rook f3 though. You know, so this is really strong. I win a piece. But I'm thinking, oh, okay, this is more natural. This has got to be good. It is good. And I win a pawn. But how do I screw this up, you know, to the point where he actually reaches a drawn position by the end? King h1, queen d6, rook b1, rook e8, bishop f3. Let's see. Computer, plus 2.3. We're solid here. Bishop f5, rook b3, h5, knight a4, c5, rook b5, and then here we get to another really interesting position where I think I'm like crushing, right? He goes here, I play knight e4, he takes. Now we have 3 ways to recapture on e4. And I made another mistake. 3 ways to recapture here, and I picked, like, I think the worst one, according to the computer. So we take with a rook, and I rejected pawn takes because he has this blockading move, bishop e3. So what did I miss for black? So when I get to that position and I'm evaluating which move I should play, I was like, blah, 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 blah. I don't like that he starts to blockade here. And then the computer's like, no, you're totally crushing him here. And I'm like, well, I didn't see anything. And it goes back to that move 11 reminded me about somebody had some class on removing the blockader or something like that. This is so strong. And it's so surprising how strong it is. Like bishop d4, just bishop d4. It's okay, if you make me make a move here, I'll find it. But I'm looking at stuff like this, and I think I went this far with my analysis and then got to, like, I don't know, queen e2 and like gave up or something like that. I got this far and basically gave up because I was like, I don't really know if I'm going to break through this or not. So I make the wrong decision by taking with the rook here. So if I take, I need to take it further, the analysis. He can't let the pass pawn go through. It's too strong. So what I'm saying is you get the feeling, right? Like, we're playing a rapid game. I know that if I can push this pawn through here, it's going to be very strong. This diagonal is going to open up. I have tactics on the white squares. But if he makes the blockade, he kind of holds the position. And bishop d4 is that strong. Wait till you see this. Bishop d4 plus 3. Plus 3 for black. Yeah, we have constant annoying threats against those hanging pieces over there. I just completely did not see how strong this is. So basically your point is right. Like, he doesn't have time to just defend the blockade. Say he plays like that, I'll have a tactic. Oh wow, look, it's Nefedov. Check it out, it's Nefedov. Take, and queen d4. And Mr. You have to be here for the beginning of the stream, but Mr. Slow is going to be like, why did he take on d4? I don't know. His knight was hanging on a4. No, wait, that was defended. This is just, dude, it's straight out of Botvinnik. This whole thing, you know, it's all about control of the center. Yeah, it's almost like good. You said something constructive, Uber Driver. Uber Driver finally said a constructive statement. It's almost like it's about control of the center. Exactly. Total domination. Oops, and his knight's hanging, by the way. So, I missed this completely. I took the wrong way. Rook takes e4. Just to show you how tough one game can be a struggle. And then knight takes c5. Now my rook's attacked. I have all sorts of good moves. But let's say this is reasonable. Then knight d3. And at this point, yeah, I got the feeling, and I think I'm right, that the white is almost hanging on. You know, he's got 5 pawns, I've got 5 pawns, 2 rooks each. I have a bishop pair that's very strong. Even Fred and Barney, like, no. Your average Fred and Barney know how strong these 2 bishops are, okay? But he starts to have play and control of e5, right? And now he only has 1 piece on a ridiculous square that's unprotected. No more like cheap tricks, right? Lack of coordination with white pieces, absolutely. But at this point I realized I started to like fuck it up. And it's a rapid game and he has more time than me. I played rook e8, h3. I think my moves at this point were okay. Chess under fire, thanks to the raid. Here. And now, you know, it's funny because Mr. Slow was like, you know, his pieces were... This is another kind of awkward move, bishop e4. Queen d7, and then look here. Look here. And now at this point, he puts rook a5 in, and I'm like calculating for a while. I have 2 minutes and a half. He has 2 minutes. I spent 25 seconds on bishop takes h3. I calculated. I didn't play this completely on intuition. I mean, I calculated quite a bit. I was calculating, like, particularly knight c5, because he has this fork, you know. But I went as far as bishop takes g2 check, and I saw this, and I saw, you know, obviously this, and I said, okay, this is not good for white, you know. So Sanchez took a while and he realized he can't take it, so he has to play this. And now bishop g4, and now queen g3. Now his queen ends up being in a very stupid position. Queen f5, preventing knight e5. I gotta watch this, by the way, the rook. He grabs a pawn in time pressure. Okay, reasonable. But now rook e3. Now his queen is totally screwed. And I don't know that like queen f2 is any better here than queen h2. Let's see. Queen h4. Queen h4, bishop f6. Queen h2. So he's losing, right? It doesn't matter. Okay, he's losing. But I didn't know what to do. You know, I was like, how do I break through? And I ended up making this like really... I just thought this is a position, like I had Botvinnik, Asterbait put Botvinnik quote on the stream, and I made it our quote for the title for the stream. But when you see this position, this is, again, Mikhail and stuff, control of the center. It's been, like, very much my focus lately. Blatnik was huge on this. This e4 square in particular. So even after this, rook g1, bishop takes d3, c takes d3. Material is equal, right? Even it's like symmetrical. We have 4 pawns, the same colored bishop, 2 rooks and a queen. But the problem is, check his queen out. Mr. Slow was talking about coordination of pieces. Bro, you can't survive with your queen like that on h2. That's game over. But I didn't know, and I'm in time pressure now, both of us. I didn't know how best to finish white off here. I think there was a good idea. How do you finish white off? I ended up just playing bishop d4. To be honest, I don't even know if I want to win the exchange, but okay. What is the best way to play this? Was there maybe something attacking f4? Can I play bishop h6 with the idea of attacking f4? Possibly. The casual games are the worst if we're going to start talking about people cheating. Yeah, bishop h6. Okay, bishop h6 was lights out. So I make a mistake, bishop d4. He takes a pawn. I take a pawn. Now I'm attacking his rook. He goes rook f1. And now I totally freaked out. He has 15 seconds left. I have 55. But I still don't see how black wins, I'm up no material. I have total domination of the center. Total control. And I'm looking for a back rank. There's nothing there. I have no access to d1, no access to e1. His bishop's defending e1. I was looking at stuff like bishop e5. I wanted even this. I'm not attacking f4 enough. So how do I win? I think it's rook e3. Mr. Slow. Notice that I have c8 controlled, so he doesn't have a check. I could have gone here and threatened this. I totally missed it. Yeah, one would argue that rook e2 is... I love my mouse. Rook e2, rook e4, rook e3. Isn't this mouse awesome? This mouse is awesome, dude. I'm not going to make any mouse ups. I'm going to be playing only casual games. This is a joke, bro. Maybe if I smack it, it'll stop doing that. Yeah, now it's better. Rook e2 is very natural. But I just wasn't sure I had an active threat. Yeah, why didn't I play rook e2, for example? Honestly, maybe I didn't notice that c8 was covered. I was afraid there'd be some checks. But I'm low on time. But this is really strong. Because it threatens rook h3. How brutal is that? Ain't nobody defending rook h3 in this position. And this is funny because if you talk about coordination, look how his pieces are all separated. There's no correlation between any of these pieces. Rook h3, there's no defense. Then actually I'm threatening mate, effectively. So I go here. And if he takes to the pawn, I have queen e4 check. And then here, rook takes. So it's not about winning his queen for 2 rooks or something like that. I'm actually checkmating him. Threatening to checkmate him by direct force. And I sat there forever and couldn't find the move. Instead played the retarded rook d e3, which does nothing. And now he plays rook c6. And then I just played a move quickly, and I know I have nothing now. I have very little advantage now. I'm still better. Rook e6, he has no queen. He tries to get his queen out. Play bishop f6, I'm still better. But it's probably not enough now. Yeah, it's a draw. At this point, I'm still better, but it's a draw. And watch this, I even managed to like get a lost position. Because I hung a bishop. I'm trying to decoy his queen, and I forgot that his bishop was guarding e1. So he's down to 4 seconds, and I have 20 seconds. And the idea was decoy, and so I decoyed, but it just hangs a bishop because this guy's protected. Like, anyway, it's ridiculous, you know. So I just totally went from a winning position to a draw to lost, and then it's like it's a draw at the end. He played queen e8 check, king h7 check, bishop g7, but I don't think I can win. Even a pawn up, the final position is a draw. He has an outside pawn. I mean, it's just amazing, you know, how you can not win. You know, I was like +6 or something earlier. But the other thing that struck me though is like this move is unknown at the master level yet. It's like Steinitz's move. Let's just see on lichess. It's the 4th most common move. I wonder how many of those people were cheating with engines. Black is like 2,800, 2,500. King c6 is a Cuban. I know he's a title player. They're all high-rated dudes, mostly. A few of them are probably computers, but it's funny that, you know, I got this from studying 100+ years old games, and I'm gonna ban you, Uber driver, if you say that again. Knight a5 is the most modern move you could possibly think of. More than 100 years plus old move. Extremely modern idea. And that's why you're still living in the 1870s, Uber driver. Alright guys, anyway, I'm out. It was nice knowing you. We'll be back. I'm going to try to stream tomorrow morning some blitz challenges or whatnot. Tomorrow, midday. So, for those of you that are European based or unemployed, you can check out our stream. Trying to get some Friday going on again at the other time schedule. See you guys there. Thanks for the support, Mr. Slow, the gift subs, and the donations. 5555. Thank you guys. We'll see you later. Friday and Sunday. Sunday simul always. We love you guys. Have a great weekend. Bye bye.